Thank you for joining us this evening. If I could have you all stand for the invocation, please. Mayor Pro Tem.
Father in heaven, we give you praise, honor, and glory because of who you are. We thank you for this day. We thank you for your mercy and grace. We thank you for this assembly here this evening. Father, I just pray that you will give us wisdom and understanding as we move through the agenda that's set before us tonight to make wise decisions for our city. We ask that you bless our nation, bless our country, bless our leaders throughout the United States. And with that, we give you praise and honor in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I'd like to call this meeting to order for March 18th, 2026. And Commander Meldon, could we have the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, if we could have roll call, please.
Here. Yamas? Here. Chavez?
Here.
Lewis?
Here.
Amabil?
I am here. First item is consideration of the approval as submitted. If we could have adopt the agenda as submitted. If we could have a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as submitted. Any further questions or comments? Not hearing any, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. We have some presentations. Brenda? Come forward. So Brenda is Technician 1, Human Resource Department. She does a lot of work, of course, for our Human Resource Department, as obvious, but she also does a lot of work for me too, and the City Council. We really appreciate all the work she does for the city, for our citizens. It's a Human Resources, very important department in our community, in our city. And it's my pleasure at the certificate of recognition presented to Brenda Seha, HR Technician 1, Human Resource Department, in recognition of your outstanding performance and dedicated service to the City of Los Banos, and for being named Employee of the Month for February 2026. Congratulations. Thank you. We're very proud of our employees. Blanche, you're up next. So if you watch our meetings, come forward, Blanche. You're not shy, I know that.
No, but you didn't leave me, you guys left me speechless. What a surprise.
So Blanche is at almost nearly every meeting. I mean, misses one or two very seldom. And she dedicates a lot of her time, energy, and expertise to our animal control department through the police department. I've had quite a few communications with residents that have had issues with cats and dogs, and we call Blanche because she will take care of it and make sure everything is handled correctly, humanely, and you take care of the residents. And I have emails that are just thanking you so much for what you do, and we can't thank you enough from the city, and it's our honor, and Ivan had a lot to do this. Yeah, come forward, Ivan. You got to be here too. Yeah, I didn't even see you over there. So Ivan's also in charge of animal control, and between the both of them and the whole police department, it's work really well together, and it's our honor, the City Council's honor, have the certificate of recognition presented to Blanche George, in recognition of the dedicated volunteer service at the Los Banos Animal Shelter, Your compassion, generosity, and commitment to the care and well-being of animals have made a meaningful difference in the lives of countless pets and their owners, and in our entire community, and we can't thank you enough. Congratulations. Thank you very much. People like Blanche make a difference in our community, and we can't thank them enough. Let's see, this is organizing professional finance. So, Minnie Morano. We have the whole departments here? Yeah. The whole team's here. So, as you know, with your own personal finances, how important keeping things in order for our city. All the different accounts, all the audits we do, everything, it's so important. And this team right here, led by Minnie, has done an outstanding job for our city. And it's the City Council's honored to proclaim Recognizing Government Finance Professional Week in the city of Los Banos. Whereas government finance professionals serve cities, counties, special districts, and joint power authorities by ensuring transparency, accountability, responsible stewardship of public funds. These professionals play a critical role in managing complex budgets, complying with state and federal laws, maintaining accurate financial reporting in compliance with government accounting standards, administrating utility rates processes and enterprise funds, and supporting long-term financial sustainability. Whereas California's financial landscape, shaped by Proposition 13, Proposition 218, the GAN appropriation limit, and CalPERS pension obligations, and fluctuating economic conditions require expert analysis and sound financial leadership. And whereas finance professionals work diligently, often behind the scenes, to provide critical information that enables informed policy decisions and ensures the delivery of essential public services. And whereas Recognizing Government Financial Professionals Week during the last week of March helps highlight the dedication, integrity, and professionalism of these essential public servants. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the mayor and the City Council of the City of Los Banos do hereby proclaim the last week of March as Government Finance Professional Week, and encourages all residents to recognize and appreciate the hard work and contributions of our finance professionals who serve our community. Thank you all very much. Congratulations. Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's picture time. Thank you all very much. Appreciate you all. Okay, now we'll move on to new employee introductions, and we'll go to our city manager, Mr. Than. Want to introduce this item, please?
Thank you, Mayor. So the first one we have on the list is going to be with the police department. So, Commander.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, members of council. It's my pleasure to introduce our newest maintenance worker, Maintenance 1, Nicholas Raul. He's an Army veteran. He came to us after serving as a maintenance person for the community of Gilroy for several years. He and his family reside here in the city of Los Banos, and we're very lucky to have convinced him to join our team at the police department. And I just wanted to take an opportunity to introduce him. So this is Nicholas. Thank you.
And then for the next one, we have it from Public Work Department. So William.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Tonight we have two new Public Works employees. The first is Virginia Chavez. She's an admin clerk at the F Street operations. She's not here. She's not here tonight. She started on Monday, so it's pretty new. 2 days ago, not counting today. And then the other is Jose Duarte. He's a streets maintenance worker one, also at F Street. And he also started on Monday. And come on up, come on.
We're glad you're here.
Congratulations. And this is Jose.
Thank you very much. You want to say it? No, I'm good.
That's all the employees that we have coming up on this for this month, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Niran. And we welcome all our new employees. Okay, next item 7, Merced County Environmental Health presentation regarding unpermitted vendors enforcement by Mark Menz, Director of Community and Economic Development, and Amanda Durand, Deputy Director of the Environmental Health Division. And Commander, is there anything else you want to say on this item?
That will be it. I'm also, yeah.
Okay, please come forward.
Just on behalf of the police department, we're very fortunate to have such a strong partnership with our county representatives, and we're glad to see them present here today, Council.
Yeah, thank you both for being here. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Mark Mims. I'm the Director of Community and Economic Development for the County of Merced, and in our multiple divisions we have in our department, environmental health is one. And over the past the year, our supervisors have made it a huge effort to increase our efforts towards unpermitted food vending. We know this is an issue plaguing throughout the county and the cities, but also the state. And I'm excited to have Amanda, who will be coming up, who's our deputy director watching over environmental health. And she has become a lead in the county, but also the state. Other states are looking at her. Other counties are working with her to help combat unpermitted food vending. Before she comes up, I'd like to thank the city manager and the city PD for their help and their support for us and our sheriffs who have to come out and do sweeps throughout the area to help combat. So now I'd like to welcome Amanda Duran, our Deputy Director of Environmental Health.
Welcome.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having us. I also want to thank Ivan. He's great at communicating and coordinating all of our sweep events with our staff. So I'm just going to start off with some of our authority, our code sections that we use. So environmental health uses health and safety code. And I'm not going to read them all one by one, but it basically gives us the authority to impound food and equipment that's unsanitary or contaminated. It gives us the authority to enter, inspect, issue citations from food facilities or a facility that's suspected to be a food facility. So someone, possibly cooking and selling food out of a place that's not necessarily permitted. And it also gives us the authority to triple fine people operating without permits. A few of the other things I like to bring up, especially for the citizens, if you have unpermitted food vendors operating on your property, there is the letter of authority, which allows law enforcement to remove people for trespassing. Some of the other codes that we work with is, I know Monterey County is using vehicle code, and we're currently looking into that with our DA's office to impound vehicles that are used to commit a public offense. As we have been investigating some of these crimes, we've noticed that this is a larger scale operation. It's ran more like a criminal enterprise. And so we're looking at some penal codes and tax evasion currently. So environmental health, we're able to, like I said, we're able to triple fine the violators. So our typical case will go out to the unpermitted food vendors. Same people every time we go out. They know us, we know them, they know the drill. We write down everything that they have out there, temp their food. There's no refrigeration, there's no hand washing, and so they'll get a typical invoice that looks something like this. However many staff are out there, we're able to find them with our hourly rate times how many staff, and then a triple fee of the permit. To the right, you can see the different operations class and the cost of the permits, and then in the parentheses is the triple fee that we do charge them. So these you might recognize off of Overland in Los Banos. This is a typical setup. You can see there's no soap, no sanitizer, no refrigeration. Typically, we find meat in bags. A lot of times, the people working at these sites, they've drove over an hour. In the middle of the summertime, you're thinking they're traveling through the county or through multiple counties with meat that's not refrigerated, which could cause contamination, along with those buckets that have raw produce in it, just open, exposed. So just very dangerous for the public health and safety. Here's another popular one, Henry Miller and Highway 165. It's also a regular. He's been a regular for a few years now. So they coordinate with each other. As like I explained, it's part of a more criminal organization. When we stop at one vendor, they're calling the other vendor, "Hey, they're here," and so they're setting up or like putting their stuff away before we could even get to the other one. Typically, you'll see a setup. They have it in a trash bag. They're not storing it on ice, refrigeration. What they don't sell Thursday night, they put it in the trash bag, take it home, and bring it back in the same trash bag for Friday night. We have found maggots, which I have it circled nicely on that pack of tortillas. So my staff were out here last week, and they were telling me when they pulled up, he grabbed the vertical rotisserie and just threw it in his front seat, and so didn't put it in any type of containers, any packaging, just right on the front seat. And I'm sure he's brought that same meat out the next night. So like I said, it's contaminated. It's not safe for public consumption. So earlier in the when I was reading the code sections where I say we could enter, inspect, citation from food facilities or facilities suspected of being food facilities, this is what we would call a commissary. So your typical mobile food vendor has to have what's called a commissary to prep their food. It's a safe environment where they could prep their food to sell to the public. So you could see there's multiple vans. All those vans, we ran license plates to other unpermitted food vendors, pops up on the side of the road. There was about 30 vehicles out there, and all the food, you can see it's being stored in trash bags outside in a warehouse. This was a hot day, so it wasn't in a warehouse when it was cold, it was warm. You could see the condition of there's meat inside the refrigerator that was not plugged in. Over here, you could see they're making salsa in trash cans. They have raw meat next to raw onions, produce. They had a wash station, which was just a hose, no soap, no sanitizer. So all those containers that had the raw produce in it was mixed in with raw meat, and they were just spraying it down. And when I went in, there was multiple people, which looked more like a trafficking type organization, the way people ran. And so that's kind of why the unpermitted food vendor, there is some higher level investigations going on. So I put this one on there. When we impound our equipment, we keep it in a storage unit. We keep it for 30 days. When we impound equipment, the operators have 30 days to come in, pay their fees, or ask for an office hearing and kind of state their case. They can get their equipment back. They rarely do. I think we've had one person in the year and a half come and get their equipment. So we typically landfill it. We're working with our council on recycling the stainless steel equipment, so we don't have to landfill everything. One thing I wanted to bring up for Los Banos, I know we have a lot of home kitchens here, constantly seeing it on Facebook, and they post their address. This is where you come get it. Currently, Miko's is not approved in Merced County. There are other things. I put some flyers on the back table for cottage food. So if residents want to sell out of their house, they need to work with the city of Los Banos and Merced County to kind of get that cottage food operation, but micro enterprise home kitchen, like this one, which is an actual post, I just blocked out the names, you know, and I would just like to stress to the public, you don't know who's cooking the food, what the inside of their house looks like. Do they have cats running across the counter? Did their kid drop the food on the floor and pick it back up? We get complaints all the time. I bought a milkshake from someone's house and I got sick, or there was a fingernail in it. I had that one. There was a fingernail in the milkshake, and well, you bought it out of someone's house. But this is not approved. There are ways to cook food in your house if you'd like to do that. We're also doing a lot of communication and outreach with the community. We got ourselves a little pop-up so we could do community events, fairs. So if there's any events that you guys want us to come out to, we're ready. We've been doing a lot of meetings with our business owners, presenting at community clubs and organizations, meeting with our city managers and chief of police, presentations, and we do have there's a lot of news articles out there that have been getting some traction, and I left some postcards and some flyers on the back as well that we share with our business owners if they want to leave it out at their facilities. That's a copy of the postcard. So it kind of just gives the brief, for the public, how to spot unpermitted food vending, no permit, operating on the roadside parking lot, no hand washing, no food storage or fridge, transportation without refrigeration. A lot of times when someone comes up to me like, are they permitted? The first thing I say, did you see somewhere for them to wash their hands? Probably not. And so the QR codes go to our website, how to fill out a complaint, and it goes directly to our emails, and then how to get permitted as well. And that's it.
Well, we really appreciate you and telling us what's going on. You're going to be at the spring fair, probably?
We can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost seems like we're going backwards a little bit.
Yeah.
Recently, with all these unlicensed vendors, compared to like 20 years ago,
Yeah.
you didn't see them. I was hearing that a lot of, like you said, they're organized, they're coming from out of town.
Yeah.
They're coming to the surrounding cities in
Yeah.
Merced County.
Yeah. So we do, myself and my supervisors have CLETS clearance, and so we're able to work with law enforcement to run license plates, and we keep track of all the owners. And we have found, we have someone who has given us information, and we have found kind of the network of the criminal operation that's going on. I work really closely with the DA investigator out of Monterey County. More recently, the DA and the director out of Stanislaus County reached out in the past couple of weeks to collaborate. We just met with our DA's office, and so kind of just building, our network and seeing just how far is this network going. And like the commissary that I showed you guys. Mm-hmm. So there was another commissary we had September 2024. We do illegal cannabis grow operation with our sheriffs. And we went out to a cannabis grow, and it ended up being a large honey butane operation, which led to another search warrant at another property in Atwater. They had 16 vehicles. They had 18 people and a baby living in one house. It looked like this, just food out on the floor. And they also had drugs there as well. And so it's kind of tying in the unpermitted food vending with this drug organization. And it seems to be the same people's names just keep popping up, within our county, within other counties.
Well, is there any questions from the rest of the council? We can't thank you and your department enough for doing this, and the sheriffs, Merced County, the supervisors are on this. This is very important because people can die because of this.
Definitely.
It's a very, food poisoning is very serious.
Yeah.
And we really do appreciate it. I'm glad you brought it forward so everybody knows how it's being handled. And I have seen a lot of postings online and on social media. We appreciate that too, awareness. Yeah.
Yeah, I do have
Okay.
a few questions. Thank you for coming today. A couple of questions that I have is, we were touching food vendors today, but I've seen vendors out in county area on private property, selling flowers, fruit, but it's really kind of hard to tell whether or not the vendor is legal, whether they've gone through the appropriate licensing through the county, and those in the city, which is a different aspect. But I know from the city that I grew up in, San Diego, they have the big letter, like you get an A, a B, or a C rating for your license. And it's hard to tell when you come up on someone whether or not they are legally selling something. Has the county thought about changing its process on how to identify and having a license posted up front on their tables or what have you, large enough so that the public can see when they approach the vendor?
Yeah, so it is legally required for them to post a picture of their permit up. And any facility could ask, I don't see your permit. Where's your permit? I always kind of stress also to the public, I mean, don't get into an argument with someone.
Oh, no,
don't get,
for
But you
sure.
can't, but as a public member, you could ask like, hey, do you have a permit? And so it should be somewhere where the public could see. A lot of the food trucks, they should have a sticker and the permit posted to where you could see it.
Yeah.
And it'll
It
say
might
what
be
year.
something that our county board of supervisors can think about changing
Yeah.
in our county, is to have something that's more visible for the public to see, because, a small piece of paper is a lot more difficult to identify than
Yeah.
something larger that's posted out front for the
Yeah.
public to see.
Yeah.
The other thing is fines. When you're coming upon these illegal vendors, you're confiscating their property and such. Usually the people that are out there generally are being trafficked. So how do you find these vendors who are doing this within the system without legal permitting?
So we're not necessarily finding the people working at the operation. When we go up and we approach and we tell them who we are and ask them who's the owner, who's in charge. It's not us. Is the owner of the vehicle? Is that who's in charge? Yeah. So if we send the invoice to them, that's who's going to get this letter. Are they're the owner of this operation? And most of the time it's yeah. And we found that those are typically the owners, or they'll give us a name. Every now and then we'll get a name, but we're not just straight to the person operating.
Right,
The
right.
the boots on the ground.
Right.
It's usually we do have a conversation when we're out there and try to figure out who the actual owner is.
So again, is it just the food vendors that environmental health is going after? Are you going after the flower vendors or any other type of?
So we don't oversee flower vendors.
Okay, so it's
yeah.
a different.
Yeah, that would be business licenses. If they have a business license, I think code enforcement.
Within the county.
Code enforcement, that would be like a code enforcement.
Within the county. Well, I know within our city how it happens, but
Yeah.
within the county, when
Yeah.
they're out there on county property, and you've got vendors that are selling food as well
Yeah.
as flowers, and some are just selling flowers. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are
If it's
looking
food,
at
yes.
that as well.
Yeah, if it's food, yeah. Most recently, we've gotten a few calls of people popped up in the early morning time, and so I've sent I have an enforcement unit now, and I've sent them out in the morning time, and they came through Los Banos last week and through the other side of the county to kind of see where we've heard people on the side selling the early morning breakfast burritos and stuff like that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Appreciate it. I just want to make sure clear that the home kitchens are not authorized.
The Mikos, so like where they're cooking like full on meals. You do have like your cottage food, which is your shelf stable food like cakes, cookies, canned goods. That is something that could be permitted in the home, but like Mikos has not been accepted into our ordinance.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ron has a few words.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank the county really for bringing this up. I mean, in the last 6 months, this efforts has started out from the county CEO as well as all the city managers understanding the needs. We all have gotten complaints from our community member. People has gotten sick from this, and it's really come down to safety and public health. That's what it come down first. We want to make sure that people that are doing business within our cities are regulated and they are providing to the safest standard possible. So thank you for doing that, because I know the county went through quite a bit of efforts to increasing staffing in your division so that we can do this, because we know that, some of these criminal enterprise is not confined by geographical boundary. They are going from county to city to city to city. So now in a lot of these efforts, we are doing it together with all of the other jurisdictions and the county, and it's proven to be very effective. So thank you very much for making that happen.
Definitely, thank you.
Great. Well, again, thank you very much for being here this evening, and we appreciate the information.
Right,
Thank you
thank you.
both. Okay, next item 8, is legislative updates, and we'll go to our city attorney, Mary Lerner.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. Let me just get the clicker and we'll get started here. Perfect, thank you. So legislative updates, my plan is to do these quarterly throughout the year. So we're going to go over some significant laws that went into effect beginning January 1, 2026. And then as we approach 2027, you can see what's coming down, what's being signed by the governor, so that we can work together collectively to make sure our ordinances are updated accordingly and city policies are in line with the laws. So each year, California enacts a number of new laws impacting municipalities and residents throughout the state. New legislation for 2026 includes noteworthy updates to the Brown Act, financial training requirements for public officials, housing and community topics, wildfire mitigation and water infrastructure, as well as a number of laws affecting residents directly. In total, legislators introduced over 2,300 bills in 2026, with approximately 900 of those reaching the governor's desk. One of the most significant pieces of legislation is SB 707, which deals with a Brown Act update. It's the largest update to the Brown Act in decades. Effective January 1, 2026, all legislative bodies are now subject to new expanded teleconference rules. The law's goal is to increase public participation, improve access for diverse communities, and update the Brown Act for modern technological realities. This was signed by the governor on October 3rd, 2025. It amends numerous provisions of the Brown Act. It also places new restrictions, expectations, and duties upon legislative bodies, and the changes are best understood in terms of what only applies to eligible legislative bodies versus what generally applies to all legislative bodies. And so that most significant change applying to the eligible legislative bodies, we define that term as a city council of a city with a population of 30,000 or more, among other definitions of public agencies that could be defined as an eligible legislative body. But for our purposes, it is a city council of a city with a population of 30,000 or more. So this Senate bill has specific requirements related to two-way remote attendance and disruption procedures, the outreach that is required, the language translation and interpretation that will be required. Rules applicable to legislative bodies in general will include teleconferencing updates and then other changes that I will talk about. So starting with the two-way remote attendance. Unlike earlier versions of the Brown Act, the new law now requires eligible legislative bodies to offer hybrid meetings. This means the public must be able to participate through a two-way phone or video platform, unless the meeting qualifies for an exemption, such as an off-site tour that council may take. So on or before July 1 of this year, the city must also approve in open session a policy regarding disruption of the mentioned services platforms, and we have to show efforts to restore service within that policy. So if a disruption prevents the public from attending a meeting, The city council must take a recess, or the planning commission, the body, must take a recess and try to restore service for at least 1 hour. Afterward, it must adopt a finding by roll call vote confirming that good faith efforts were made to fix the issue and that resuming the meeting serves the public interest more than delaying it further. And so we will work as a staff to develop that policy and bring it to council for consideration and approval before July 1. Furthermore, this bill, Senate Bill 707, allows a legislative body or its presiding officer to also remove or limit participation from individuals engaging in disruptive behavior, regardless of whether the individual is attending in person or via two-way audiovisual or telephonic services. And so we often see when you start having the two-way visual or telephonic services, we see Zoom bombers. And so you do have the ability to remove them, and I will work with council should that situation occur. The next prong is outreach. So this bill also requires the city to take specific actions to encourage residents to participate in public meetings, including providing a system for electronically accepting and fulfilling requests for meeting agendas, having an accessible internet webpage dedicated to information concerning public meetings and how members of the public may participate, including a link to the page on the city's home page, and making reasonable efforts to invite groups that do not traditionally participate in public meetings to attend those meetings, such as outreach to media organizations serving non-English speaking communities or civic engagement organizations. And the legislative body has broad discretion to implement these efforts. With respect to language translation and interpretation, the city has to translate the agenda and instructions on how to participate in meetings into any language spoken jointly by 20% or more of an applicable population that also speaks English less than very well, according to the American Community Survey. And so I actually have a snapshot of that survey for the city of Los Banos. And you can see here, I've highlighted the square. For the Spanish-speaking population, 21.6% speak English less than very well. That's your percentage that we need to look at. And so you will need to translate the agenda into Spanish as of July 1, 2026. You must also provide reasonable assistance to members of the public who wish to use personal interpreters, such as arranging space for interpreters and allowing extra time for interpretation. As a note, that's always been the law. So for example, if someone needs interpretation services during public comment, and public comment is 3 minutes, it needs to be adjusted to 6 minutes for that individual that needs the translation services. That has always been the law. The new web page requirements for web pages dedicated to information concerning public meetings must be translated into any language spoken jointly by 20% or more of an applicable population that also speaks English less than very well. And again, that's Spanish for the city of Los Banos. You have to make a physical location within reasonable proximity to the location where the agenda is posted, freely accessible to the public, so the public may post additional translations of the agenda. So perhaps there's other languages that don't meet that 20% threshold. They should have room to post a translation if they wanted to. So rules applicable to legislative bodies in general. So we have teleconferencing updates. This bill reorganizes and expands the teleconferencing provisions of the Brown Act, adding some uniformity to noticing, disclosure, accessibility, and public comment requirements for certain types of teleconferencing. So for example, this bill revises and restates the existing teleconferencing provisions for states of emergency, just cause, and emergency circumstances, and expands coverage to include states of emergency declared by the localities and just cause allowances, including physical or family medical emergencies, preventing in-person attendance and military service. I actually have a chart that reflected the just cause and the emergency and then our traditional Brown Act rules that I will update with this additional information and then distribute to council. In addition, SB 707 would allow agencies to permit attendance by a member of the legislative body via teleconferencing as a reasonable accommodation under applicable law, including the ADA. Those attending in accordance with this section must still disclose any present adults and their relationship to them and participate via audio and camera unless their disability prevents such. Other changes, copies of the Brown Act. The existing law encouraged agencies to provide copies of the Brown Act to the legislative body. SB 707 now requires agencies to provide a copy of the Brown Act to any person elected or appointed, and I know the city manager has taken care of that, distributing to our appointed bodies, and then each of you received a Brown Act handbook that has the Brown Act text within it as well. So that requirement has been met. So skipping ahead to the now required financial training. So SB 827. This bill now requires certain local agency officials to complete at least 2 hours of fiscal and financial training every 2 years. This training will be in addition to the AB 1234 ethics training that has been mandated since 2005. The bill also expands the categories of local agency officials that must complete the AB 1234 training. So here's where it gets a little technical. Officials who begin service before January 1 must complete their initial training before January 1, 2028. So if you started before January 1, 2026, you have 2 years to complete. Unless your terms of service end before January 9, 2028, in which case you're excused. Officials beginning service on or after January 1, 2026 must complete their initial training within 6 months of their start dates. And thereafter, officials must complete an additional 2 hours every 2 years. So for example, our newest council member was seated last week, so he would have to complete his training within 6 months of being seated on the council. AB 339, city contracting. AB 339 requires the city to perform an additional procedural step prior to making a contracting decision by providing 45 days notice to labor organizations about contracts for services that are the same as or similar to work performed by employees the labor organization represents before the city issues an RFP, an RFQ, or enters a renewal of or extension to a contract that covers services within the scope of job classifications represented by the labor organization. I know staff is already working on a policy for this and factoring in that 45 days into the RFP and RFQ process. Some contracts are exempt from this new notice requirement, including public works contracts for construction, alteration, demolition, installation, repair, and maintenance, and then contracts for services that are related to planning, design, administration, oversight, review, or delivery of public works, residential, commercial, or industrial buildings. For all other RFQs and RFPs and contract renewals and extensions that implicate bargaining unit work, the notice to the affected unit must include certain information such as the duration of the contract, the scope of work under the contract, the anticipated cost, the draft solicitation, or if not yet drafted, the information that would normally go into one, and the reason the agency believes the contract is necessary. If an emergency or other exigent circumstances prevent the full notice period, the city is required to provide as much advance notice as is practical under the circumstances. And we're not required to meet and confer over the actual issuance of the RFP. Rather, the new law only requires the city provide the notice to an affected union. However, the new notice requirement enhances the ability of labor unions to provide early input regarding decisions that may affect the employees they represent. And then also we need to note that if an existing MOU provides for a more substantial notice period, we have to default to the MOU provisions. And again, city staff is drafting an administrative policy. In fact, Isabel has been working on that closely with the department heads for compliance with AB 339. SB 634, Housing and Community. Senate Bill 634 declares homelessness a matter of statewide concern, not a municipal affair, and limits a local jurisdiction's authority to regulate activities related to homelessness. Specifically, this bill prohibits a city, county, or special district from adopting a local ordinance or enforcing an existing one that prohibits, one, a person or organization from providing support services, this includes legal or medical care, to a person who is homeless, or two, assisting a person who is homeless with any act related to basic survival. And basic survival includes assisting with items or providing items related to eating and drinking, sleeping, protecting oneself from the elements, or other activities and items necessary for immediate personal health and hygiene. Senate Bill 346 provides local agencies with a new tool to address short-term rentals operating within its jurisdiction. Cities and counties can now enact an ordinance that requires short-term rental facilitators such as Airbnb and VRBO to share information about short-term rentals during a specified reporting period. So a city is now able to invoke the new law to compel these short-term rental facilitators to share information about how they operate within the city. This new state law is not self-executing. A city must proactively invoke the new law by adopting an ordinance. Once the city does adopt such an ordinance, state law imposes a number of obligations on these short-term rental facilitators like Airbnb and VRBO, including providing the physical address. The city can also require the APN, the URL of the listing, and unit-specific information. The city can require at least quarterly reporting from these operators. The city may audit facilitators. It would be at the city's expense to ensure compliance. And you can also impose administrative fines for violations. AB 671 provides a new procedure for streamlined restaurant building plan approval. After making a request to a local building department, a permit applicant may pay for a licensed architect or engineer to certify that the plans and specifications of proposed tenant improvements comply with the applicable building health and safety code. Then these professional certifiers have various obligations, such as preparing affidavits under penalty of perjury relating to tenant improvements. Once submitted, the local building department must then approve or deny the permit application within 20 business days of receipt of a complete application. If it is not approved in that time frame, it will be automatically deemed approved. If an applicant resubmits corrected plans after denial, the building department's review is limited to deficiencies in the initial denial, which is 10 days to approve or deny the resubmitted application. So very tight timelines. This program or this bill also modifies the Cal Home program, which is designed to assist low and very low income households in becoming homeowners. And it allows for the construction of accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units on properties funded by the program. But it also allows for separate conveyance of those ADUs and the J ADUs. AB 130, homeless shelters. This legislation requires inspection and reporting for emergency shelters for California cities or counties and homeless shelter owners and operators. As of 6/30/2025, reports are due each April to Housing and Community and Development, which we call HCD. The definition under California law of emergency shelter is housing with supportive services for homeless persons that is limited to occupancy of 6 months or less by a homeless person. No individual or household may be denied emergency shelter because of an inability to pay. For city purposes, staff have confirmed that a sanctioned encampment is not considered an emergency shelter under AB 130. Then we have wildfire mitigation. On September 29, 2025, Governor Newsom signed into law Senate Bill 254 in response to the January 2025 Eaton and Palisades wildfires. This law seeks to improve wildfire safety, addressing funding and regulation of electrical transmission projects, and stabilizing the homeowner insurance market and investor-owned utilities from increasing wildfire risks due to climate change. This bill will strive to stabilize the state wildfire fund after the January 2025 fires and accelerate the state's transition to clean energy. And that California Wildfire Fund was created through legislation, and the fund aims to reimburse participating utility companies for claims arising from covered wildfires that are determined to have been caused by their equipment, and the utility companies that are participating are San Diego Gas and Electric, Southern California Edison, and PG&E. SB 598, Public Contracts, Water Infrastructure. SB 598 implements processes to streamline local agency water infrastructure projects. It will allow certain local agencies to use construction managers, general contractors, project delivery method for projects aimed at addressing ongoing drought or climate change related water shortages. There's a lot to this law. It actually follows the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, their procedures that they use. And it's limited to cities, counties, and special districts that are authorized to manage and provide for the production, storage, supply, treatment, or distribution of any water from any source. It can be used for 15 capital outlay projects for each agency and is valid until January 1, 2031. And requires an enforceable commitment from the construction manager that it and its subcontractors will use a skilled and trained workforce to perform all work on the project unless there is a project labor agreement. And the idea is that this will expedite project completion, minimize project delays and budget overages, and reduce risks and costs for the local agency. AB 379, Human Trafficking. AB 379 will make it easier for law enforcement to address prostitution and human trafficking. The measure created new charges, including for people who solicit 16 and 17-year-olds for prostitution, and requires certain businesses to display information about human trafficking. AB 379 also increases fines for businesses that enable prostitution and human trafficking, establishes a fund for victim services, and tasks the Office of Emergency Services with directing funds to district attorney offices to fight human trafficking. And I know that came up in one of the questions tonight during one of our presentations. I also wanted to focus on additional legislation that affects the public in general. So AB 798 expands the state emergency food bank program to include diapers and wipes for families with young children. AB 495 is the Family Preparedness Act, and that allows parents to create safety plans to prevent unnecessary separation of children during crisis like deportation, incarceration, or illness. Effective this year, it strengthens legal tools for caregivers and helps families keep children out of foster care by appointing temporary caregivers or guardians, especially supporting immigrant families. AB 628 is renter protections, and it requires working refrigerators and stoves in rental units. AB 867, this is non-therapeutic cat declawing. It bans non-therapeutic cat declawing and tendinectomy in California. This law prohibits these procedures unless medically necessary to treat a disease or injury, aiming to prevent unnecessary pain and injury to animals. And I actually had to look up what a tendinectomy is. It's a surgical alternative to declawing, where a small section of the tendon responsible for extending the claws is removed. There's another one, AB 506, that deals with pet health. And this is a consumer protection law requiring pet sellers to disclose the origin and health history of dogs, cats, and rabbits. It bans non-refundable deposits for these animals and allows buyers to void contracts if transparency rules are violated, and mandates seller refunds within 30 days. This law does not apply to a public animal control agency or shelter. And then we have SB 1053, the plastic bag ban, prohibiting all plastic carryout bags at grocery store checkouts, including those thicker reusable plastic bags that we saw before January 1, 2026. And the law mandates that only recycled paper bags or reusable bags are permitted at checkout. And then AB 36, it helps smaller rural communities and counties qualify for state housing funds by streamlining the process of designating certain jurisdictions as pro-housing. AB 457 extends a ministerial approval process, CEQA exemption for affordable farm worker housing within 15 miles of farm or grazing land in the counties of Santa Clara, Santa Cruz, Fresno, Madera, and Merced. AB 1441 establishes an independent citizens redistricting commission in the county of Merced to ensure fairly drawn districts that take into account demographics and communities of interest. And these align with the 10-year redistricting that's required of a public agency that has districts, like the city of Los Banos. So this is specific to the county of Merced. And according to the legislation, the county is working with the Registrar of Voters to implement. In closing, so far this year, the legislature has introduced 1,798 bills this session, 561 in the Senate and 1,237 in the Assembly. Roughly 600 of those are placeholders. Recently, the legislature held its first round of policy committee hearings as both the Senate and Assembly began acting on bills. Policy committees have approximately a month to hear and refer any bills with a fiscal impact to the appropriations committees, and we will keep council updated as we progress through 2026. My legal assistant, Alex, is here. If there's something council would like us to take a deeper dive on, I know that was a lot of information, and believe it or not, out of 900 bills, that was it for tonight. So if there's something you do want a deeper dive on, we'd be happy to do that and bring back information to council. I'm also available for any questions or comments.
I have a couple of questions. Going about the changes in the city council meetings starting July 1, and you talked about Zoom bombing and all that stuff. Is there any kind of like a delay or anything? Is there any kind of delay over?
No.
So everything's going to be strictly live?
It has to be live. I have seen in my experience, Zoom bombers start out with comments that seem like they're within the jurisdiction of the council, and then they turn dark rather quickly. And at that point, I jump in and I remind them that their comments need to be within the jurisdiction of the council. And then more oftentimes than not, the comments will revert back to something that seems like it's within your jurisdiction, and then they turn dark again. And at that point, I direct whoever's running the audio, video to cut them off. And so what we're doing is we're balancing a First Amendment right to speak at a meeting versus you've been given your warning, and now we're going to have to cut you off because it's not within the jurisdiction of council. Not because it's such horrific speech, simply because it's not within your jurisdiction.
So inappropriate speech is not considered, that being cut off?
And
If it's not, I'm not talking about within jurisdiction of the city. Say if somebody's just being crude, really.
so the First Amendment has broad arching authority, right? So I'm going to say it depends. We try to veer the public back to what is within the council's jurisdiction. That's what the public comment period is designed for. Sometimes that takes us when we want to cut someone off because it's not within the jurisdiction. It would require me anticipating like what their next words are going to be, or are they going to tie this concept back to what is within the jurisdiction of the council? So that's why I say it depends. It's going to take a minute to see where the comments are going, and then I can jump in.
Okay, so I remember about 25 years ago, there were people singing with guitars, and they were within their 5 minutes. All that's allowed and had nothing to do with,
Well,
it had nothing to do with the city council. They were just singing.
right. And so at that point,
Yeah.
I would have to hear the words to the lyrics, right? So we can sing our comments. You'd be surprised at some of the things we've had.
Well,
So anyway, that's why it depends. I have to hear the words because what we
Okay.
don't want to see is a First Amendment challenge against the city.
Right.
So we're very mindful of that.
going about the teleconferencing by the city council. So then after July 1, we would, if if I'm not available, I could be on a teleconference in the meeting and considered, and my votes would count, everything.
Absolutely. And actually, that would apply now if you had that two-way system in place right now. You would
Okay.
have the ability to do that. So I think one of the best examples is the city of Clovis had a council member who was very ill for a number of years, and he appeared via phone. Now the requirements have changed to where it needs to be audio and visual of you. But we have our traditional Brown Act rules, and then we have emergency situation rules, and then we have just cause. So let's say you're out sick and you don't want to contaminate everybody. Well, we would make a just cause exception. I would walk the council through how to approve that last minute attendance, and then you'd be able to participate. If we're following traditional Brown Act rules, we would post on the agenda ahead of time where you're participating from. We would require that you post the agenda within the same time limits at your location. So let's say, for example, you're on vacation and you want to attend the council meeting, and we have that two-way ability. We would require you to post the agenda where you're on vacation. That location would have to be open to the public to participate, and you would need to be on, it would need to be on speaker so that the public can hear what's going on from that location.
Interesting. Financial training, that's about budgets, I imagine?
So Minnie and I are actually working on that training together, because there's financial components that are required. Yes, are related to budgets, related to fiscal responsibility, and then there's also the legal components. So Minnie and I are working on preparing that training or finding a training for the obligors to attend.
Okay, any questions for the council?
Mayor, thank you. Are you considering Brown Act training for the council?
Yes, and so we can set up a time to do that. I do know we have some workshop time coming up, so if there's time there, we can do it there. I can also break it up into mini sessions over several meetings to go over the Brown Act in general. And what it would be is I would do a presentation based off the handbooks I provided to everybody.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
Anyone else? So that's one of the reasons, so come July, we're going to be limiting our public forums to less minutes, because now we might have to double it if there's translation, and so it'll probably be going down to, you can go down to 2, is that correct?
You can give the public a reasonable amount of time. Courts have found that 2 minutes is reasonable.
Okay.
Or above.
Yeah, so right now we're looking at 3. That'll start July. We're also already started slowly implementing some of the new procedures, like you'll see me ask the public if anybody has anything to, on the agenda items that we take action on, if you have any comments on them. These are informational, but, so that's it. Any further questions, comments from the council? Very good job. Thank you. It was very well explained.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we will now turn to our public forum. Members of the public may address the city council on any item of public interest that's within the jurisdiction of this city. This includes agenda and non-agenda items. No action will be taken on non-agenda items. And right at this time, speakers are limited to 5 minutes, and we need you to state your name for the record, please.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Scott Silvera, Merced County Board of Supervisors, representing your district, District 5. First, I wanted to say, after getting that presentation from your city attorney, I think this is a very good reason why we should limit the number of bills that the state legislature can put out at any given year. Because I think that there was some really good bills in there, but then you end up with some really not so good bills. So advocate for that to your state electeds. I have been. Just wanted to share with you on Saturday, March 28th, that's still a couple weeks out, or a couple weekends from now, the Register of Voters team will be holding mobile hours for passport application services here in Las Banos. The event is in line with our goal of meeting the community where they are and providing needed services beyond the walls of the main office in Merced. We have coordinated with the city of Las Banos. I want to say thank you, Neuron, and your staff for helping to coordinate with that. To set up our Register of Voters mobile service trailer in the parking lot next to City Hall and open to the public for walk-up services between the hours of 8:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. The seemingly early in time is needed because there's a lot of paperwork that goes into processing those passport applications. Most of the department's full-time team will be on site in Las Banos, and as we hope to serve as many passport applicants as possible. Our partners with Radio Merced will be advertising during the 2 weeks prior to the event and have a van and tent set up near us to broadcast on location for a couple hours. So again, that's Saturday, March 28th from 8:30 in the morning till 2:30 in the afternoon. I would encourage you guys to share that on across your social media. Currently, there are other places to get passport applications done. You can make appointments at the Register of Voters office at the main admin building in Merced for the county. This is an opportunity for folks on the west side not necessarily to have to travel to the east side of the county to be able to do that. And then just as a side note, on Friday, March 27th in the evening time, they'll be conducting a similar outreach event in the city of Gustine at the Al Gorman Center. So maybe Friday works better for you. It's a little short drive over to Gustine. So thank you, sir, and appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you bringing that to the west side very much. Anyone else, please come forward. State your name verbally.
My name is Blanche George, and I live in the downtown area. I just wanted to let you guys know thank you, and that all of you matter, and all of you make a difference in animals' world, and I want to thank you for that. Also, with us volunteering, we are making the commitment to share our most precious resource, all of us, and that for animals, which is our time. I just wanted to mention there was a project that was completed, and I'll just reduce the report. But recently, there was a time that we were able to capture a certain amount of feral wild cats. 25 of them were female. And these female, for your information, the 25 before kitten season made a drastic difference. And that's because, let me tell you directly, that 25 female cats, feral cats, can produce 450 to 750 kittens in 1 year. So with that act that was done, and capturing the 25 female cats, we were able to prevent, because they all had spades, they all got spayed, that they could have produced. They produce less if they're fed less. If they're being taken care of, they get that extra vitamin. They could produce as much as 750 plus. So I just wanted to give you that report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else, please come forward. Okay, I do not see or hear anyone coming forward. Is there any emails or letters that came to? Okay, we did not receive any correspondence through emails or letters that wanted to be read during the public forum, so I'll go ahead and close the public forum. Thank everyone that spoke. And we'll now turn to our consideration and approval of our consent agenda. Item 10 on the consent agenda. Lucy, if you could read them off, please.
Items on the consent agenda are as follows. Warrant numbers 256569 through 256828 in the amount of $1,099,642.61. City Council Resolution number 7064, authorizing the release of unclaimed checks in the amount of $30,070.75 pursuant to California Government Code Section 50050 and 50053 to the City of Las Banos. City Council Resolution number 7065, approving and authorizing the mayor to execute the 2026 restated Joint Powers Agreement of the Transit Joint Power Authority of Merced County. City Council Resolution number 7066, approving the purchase of a GETAC mobile data computers in the amount of $39,004.42 from PCN Strategies for use in police patrol vehicles. City Council Resolution number 7067, approving the revised and restated memorandum of agreement among the Delta Mendota Subbasin Groundwater Sustainability Agencies. And the items are to be approved as submitted.
Okay, with that, is there any items that any of the council members would like to pull off before we go forward?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. If we could, 10D.
Okay, 10D, we'll pull that off. Is there any other items that, any council members? Okay, is there any, now this is an agendized item for approval. Is there any item A, B, C, or E on the consent agenda anyone would like to speak from the public on? Okay, not seeing anyone coming forward, then we'll go ahead and if I could have a motion to approve item 10A, B, C, and E of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve, let's see, items 10A, B, C, and E of the consent agenda. That includes Resolution 7064, Resolution 7065, and Resolution 7067. Any further questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Now the one item, 10D. Giannis, you want to ask your questions or?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The primary reason is to provide a little more oversight, information to the public as to why this expenditure is being made, what were the issues, and how would this mitigate the issues that the police department is having.
Yeah. Commander, if you could come forward, please.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you for pulling the item, so it gives me an opportunity to speak about the technology that the police department has. So just a brief overview of what we're currently working with. Our current MDCs, the mobile data computers that the police department has are not standard laptops that you can put into service. They have to be specialized, ruggedized computers. Currently, we're using a Panasonic version, which is extremely large, and it does not allow for ease of use when you have multiple individuals in a vehicle. As we know, we've done a lot of hiring recently, which results in multiple people sitting in a vehicle. The larger computer platform prevents the vehicle shifter from activating when you have two people in the vehicle. So we've identified a solution, which is a G-Tech ruggedized computer, and there's some functionality of this specific device that's enhanced over time. One of the key components that's identified in this is the smaller platform. It provides the same level of functionality, but one of the key components is this function to where the top of the device, it rotates. So when you're training an individual or you have two people in a vehicle, one person's operating the motor vehicle, the remaining person could be handling calls for service or communicating with dispatch over this. Another key component of this device is the fact that you can set it down. So it's not blocking any of the visual obstructions in the vehicle, and you can use it as a tablet. So it has multiple functions that enhance our operational capacity, and it eliminates the platform, the large platform that we currently have with the Panasonic device. And the mechanism for being able to seat this in a patrol vehicle is different as well.
So thank you very much for that, Commander. So you're saying that was obstructing the selector for the vehicle?
It does when you have two people in the vehicle.
I see.
It creates a safety hazard because it doesn't allow the shifter to fully activate. You have to move the device, and it's just.
So in a high-stress emergency situation, that could be a real problem.
It could be a real problem when you have two individuals in the vehicle. Absolutely.
Very good. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Thank you, Commander.
Any other questions?
Any questions by the council?
Thank
That's
you.
it. Thank you. Anything else?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so then we have City Council Resolution 7066 approving the purchase of GetTac mobile data computers in the amount of $39,004.42 from PCN Strategies for the use in our police patrol vehicles. Any further questions or comments on that? Then I'll entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for Resolution 7066 as stated. Further questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 11 is a public hearing. You may challenge the proposed action as described herein in court. You may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raise at a public hearing described herein or in written correspondence delivered to the city at or prior to public hearings. Our first public hearing is to receive public comment and consideration of adopting the 2025 annual report on the status of the housing element of the general plan and progress in its implementation and general plan status report. That first item, we will go to our Community and Economic Development Director, Susan Helms.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. As some of you may recall, this is an annual report that I provide to the City Council. So I do this each March, and I would like to add that the City of Los Banos is one of 2 jurisdictions with a certified housing element out of 7 jurisdictions in Merced County, which is a big deal. The planning period that we're in, which is the 6th cycle, and you're going to hear me talk a little bit about that as I go through the presentation. But the 6th cycle started in 2024, and there are lots of consequences for not having a compliant housing element, but we in Los Banos are safe in that we do have a housing element, but we are required. As I get into the presentation, according to California Government Code, it requires each jurisdiction to prepare and submit an annual progress report on its housing element by April 1st. Each jurisdiction is required to have the annual progress report reviewed by the City Council. We're required to submit that annual progress report to HCD, the Department of Housing and Community Development, but it does not require HCD's approval. And we're also required to contain the status of the housing element and the progress in its implementation, the progress in meeting the city's regional housing needs allocation, and any action taken by the city towards completion of any of those programs. The purpose of the annual progress report is to remain compliant with government code and housing element law. It's to update the City Council and our community on housing development and implementation of the housing element, and to ensure eligibility for state grant funding. That's probably one of the most, not only just to make sure that the community is aware, but eligibility for state grant funding is key. Without a compliant housing element, the city would not have been eligible for the Encampment Resolution Fund, which the city was awarded $11.8 million. That would have been a funding source that the city would not have been eligible for. And not being in compliant would have could potentially have put the city in a position where even after being awarded, where we could have had that funding in jeopardy. But now that we do have a compliant housing element, there is no worries in that area, and it makes us eligible for additional grant funding as it becomes available. Also to note, at the last City Council meeting, the City Council directed staff to apply for community development block grant funding, CDBG grant. We need, in order to be eligible, we need to have a compliant housing element. So the 2025 regional housing needs allocation progress is required as a part of the annual progress report. And this is a snapshot of development that has happened from January 1st to December 31st, 2025. So it does not account for anything that has happened in 2026. So in 2025, we are reporting still a shortfall of 2,554 units. And as you can see, as a part of this RHNA, our regional housing needs allocation, this table and this reporting process defines by each income category, which is defined as a percentage of the area median income. And that's established by HCD. And for Merced County, it currently is, for a family of four, $93,900. And these categories are then used to calculate housing affordability for rental and owner-occupied housing. So as you can see, we started, and it's a little hard, but maybe you could see my cursor. On this table, it's showing that we first started off this planning cycle, the sixth cycle, with 3,132 units. We got a little bit of credit as a move forward from HCD. And then in 2024, we reported 143 units. And in 2025, we reported 263 units. 12 of these units are units that were recently built by Merced County Housing Authority. So that was exciting that helped us in the low income category. And then a lot of these moderate units, which are 28 units, are accessory dwelling units that the city was able to get credit for. And then the 223 units that are identified as above moderate, those are your typical single-family residential homes and subdivisions. So that still gives us a shortfall, though, of 2,554 units as you total up all of these income categories from very low, low, and moderate, and above moderate. But we're still in pretty good shape as we still have till 2032 to continue to report and provide that data to HCD. And we do have oncoming projects that we will be getting credit for, hopefully in 2026. For instance, One Tree, we're going to be able to count towards in the next income category, which is extremely low. We are, according to our housing element, in that category to provide 360 units. And our One Tree project, which is 58 permanent supportive housing for our unhoused, which are extremely low income, that'll help us accomplish that. Okay. Just one more note on this slide. This is a new income category with the sixth cycle that was not required in previous cycles of the housing element. Also, new legislation is being proposed, SB 967, which would allow jurisdictions to get credit within their arena for emergency shelter. And so we are hoping for the passage of that Senate bill as hopefully we'll get that CDBG grant, and as the council directed staff to move forward with funding for that project for a minimum of 30 emergency shelters, that too would help us in this income category. So implementation of the housing element, we are required to show progress, implementation and progress on the 8 goals that the city has identified in the housing element. The first goal is to provide adequate sites for residential development and alternate housing choices at affordable cost for all segments of the city. As some of you may recall, with our recently adopted housing element, we had to provide adequate site inventory analysis that showed within our current city limits that we would be able to accommodate residential needs for all income categories. And we adequately analyze that each year, but we also identify progress as we continue to develop within the community. Goal 2 is to remove governmental constraints, which a lot of those governmental constraints are now state law, housing laws that require cities to, for instance, accessory dwelling units are ministerial. So it completely removes that governmental constraint. It's the process that we're going through right now and updating our community design standards to objective design standards. Those are all requirements of the state to remove those governmental constraints. Goal 3 is to encourage the maintenance, improvement, and rehabilitation of the city's existing housing stock and encourage the maintenance and upkeep of existing affordable housing. We do, and we report annually on previous first-time homebuyer and rehab loans. So the city continues to maintain those loans. And then we look for annually additional funding sources to provide for first-time homebuyer and for rehab projects within the city. Goal 4 is to encourage the maintenance, improvement, and rehabilitation of the city's existing housing stock, encourage the maintenance and upkeep of existing housing affordability, and the same thing on rehab, and ensure, Goal 5 is to ensure that all residents have access to housing. Goal 6 is to increase the percentage of homeowners in the city and provide adequate information on all possible housing assistance programs and distribute to homeowners, developers, and other residents, which we provide resources on the city's webpage. And then we do have a housing division that also provides these resources and programs and distributes that out within the community. Goal 7 is to maintain an adequate percentage of affordable rental units within the city to accommodate all income groups and family types. And really, this is by encouraging various housing stock and various housing types within the community that would allow for affordable renting units to accommodate all of those income groups and family types. And then goal 8 is to encourage new development projects for special needs groups. And these groups are farm worker housing, it is special needs for seniors, the unhoused community. Those are considered special needs groups, of which we do have new development projects currently in the works. General plan status report. All elements within the City of Los Banos General Plan 2042 remain in effect and continue to guide decision making. We did have one general plan amendment, which was adopted through North Point, and all that it did was it was a housekeeping item that swapped out existing neighborhood commercial land use designation for high density residential, again to accommodate different housing needs based on income throughout the city of Los Banos. And then that work program for 2026, the goal with the general plan is continued implementation of the housing element programs, zoning code updates, which I'm working with our city attorney for consistency with the general plan and state housing law, ongoing work on complete streets implementation, which one of those projects is the Pioneer Road project, and preliminary evaluation of long-range planning initiatives, including annexation readiness and employment center infrastructure planning, all things which we're preparing and planning for within the general plan 2042. Move forward. Public comment. Public hearing notices were published on March 4th. In the West Side Express, and as of today's date, no comments have been received. So that concludes my report, and I'm open to any questions. I know that was a lot of information. I apologize.
That sounds good. Now I'd like to open up the public hearing to receive public comment and consideration on the adoption of our housing element. Anyone like to speak to the housing element, please come forward at this time. Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. I do not blame you for not coming up to speak. It's a lot of ministerial information. So I want to turn it to the City Council now with the resolution number 7068 for the adoption. You have questions for staff or?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I got one.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay.
You started.
All right. Hey, bro, mine's real quick. You said by 2032, you had to have our number of total units we're under by 2,554. Does that change? That'll be the number we have to get down all the way to 2032.
Yes, that's the goal, is to reach that original total number of 3,132. So what we still have a shortfall is over 2,500 units. A majority of those units are within the above moderate category, which is our single-family residential, which as long as the housing market continues to stay stable, we definitely will be able to finish that income category. In the last housing cycle, halfway through that planning period, we accomplished that income category. The real challenge, and this is the challenge for every single jurisdiction in California, is achieving the extremely low and very low income categories. Because the city, we can only facilitate development. We are not developers. We cannot force development. And those extremely low and very low income categories, it's extremely difficult to develop. Many times those projects do not pencil out because they need subsidies, and those projects are waiting for some sort of, whether it's tax credits or grant funding or assistance from the municipality to be able to pencil, make those projects pencil out. So those income categories will be our most difficult. Showing progress, though, is what is important to HCD, in that we have one tree, that we are going to be providing emergency shelter units as well. That's important, instead of just providing a zero each year in those income categories, that we are striving and that they can see HCD that we are applying for funding as well, for those really to house those low income categories. That's an important goal as well.
Thank you.
Sorry, real quick, just to clarify on that question, Director Elm. So the RENA number that was allocated to us, the 3132, that is not changed in this cycle, correct?
No, that's where you start. So that's where we started in 2024, and we are just not etching away from that each year. And so I have to report what our shortfall is each year.
But it has changed in the past, because I think he went to the conference. I think council know, Planning Commission went to the council,
Yes.
Planning Commission Academy, and that number has changed. I believe it was Banos, the other cycle of 2014 to 2021, our allocation was 2,480 unit, and that has bumped up to 3,132. That's the number you see today. To put that into perspective, Los Angeles, from 2014 to 2021 cycle was 82,000 unit allocated, and in this cycle, their allocation is 456,643 units.
Now, that is, to clarify, and I do understand, not understanding the disparities, that is also because the city received credit, as you may recall, when we did the housing element update. So that 3,132 is what we're reporting on our RENA, but within the housing element, there's methodology and calculation of why the city got credit for additional units. So I hope that makes sense.
Thank you. Director Elms, thank you very much for that report. This is, I know, a very challenging topic, especially with very low and moderate development. However, right now, in addressing this housing for the lower income folks, the taxpayers are shouldering all of the expense, i.e. one tree. It's very expensive for the city to build these developments. And I realize that for the developers, it's not economically attractive. But I just want to give word to thought that hope we continue to find ways to build more in the very low to low, because as we have folks go to one tree, they get established, they start getting benefits. I think the idea is then to move them off into other housing so that we have a log train of other folks who came from other encampments or homelessness and go into that one tree facility, do the process. But at this point, we have nowhere for them to go. So my concern is that we will have a bottleneck at the one tree if we don't have the lower to very low housing for them to transition to. So again, it's just, I just wanted to articulate that. I realize that it's very difficult, but because we can't compel in this situation, but I just wanted to again give voice to thought. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? So, nice report, Stacy. How many hours do you have in this? And your staff?
I mean, Neuron knows. It's data intensive, and he knows how much it takes to pull that together. There's a lot of analysis that goes within it. So it is hours, and it's preparation immediately January 1st to be able to provide this report for you on March 18th.
That's fast. That's good. A lot of work. We appreciate everyone working on that. So before us, we have Resolution 7068. What is the council would like to do with this resolution?
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 7068 as read by title or as submitted.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for Resolution 7068. Any further questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Next item is consideration and adoption of the city resolution number 7069, approving and authorizing the city manager to execute the second amendment with Image Way More LLC for media content capturing and production services. With this, we'll go to our city manager, Neuron Than.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, member of the public. I'll try to keep this one short, consider that Director Elm has taken all of the times, including our city attorney on the law today. So what I have in front of you this evening is for your considerations to extend or to approve the second amendment with Imagine Way More LLC. As you might be aware, Imagine Way More has been our content generators for a number of years now. They originally came to us in 2024 when we realized that the way we outreach to our community need to evolve with how our communities are consuming content and how they are going to perceive and want to get information. Versus in the past, people come to bulletin boards and also looking for mailer. Nowadays, they're looking for 30-second reels and quick information updates and two-sentence social media updates. So we want to be flexible and be able to accommodate those. So in 2024, we issue an RFP to select a media generator or content creator to help us get there. Imagine Way More was solicited. They have since produced quite a few content for us, all of which will be shown in a little bit. So we'll play all those video in a second. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not going to play all this video. With that, we did extend, their contract was for a 2-year contract. It was expired in April 2025. It was then extended by the former city manager, and we realized that, we continue to need those services as those content and more information need to be pushed out to our residents, including projects, as well as initiatives and programs that we should be pushing out. So with that, we are looking at revamping our entire public engagements pursuits, one of which is content generations, where we're posting it, social media, as well as our home base, which is our city website. As you can imagine, nowadays, if you want to go and shop for something or you want to call Comcast, you typically go to Comcast website or you go to Amazon. For us, it's the same. We want to make this accessible. If you need information about the city, we should be able to go into the city website and be able to find all of those documents and not have to go just through the PRA process. However, in order to do those and keep it engaging, we need a content generator, people that are able to capture video, pictures, and help us in those fronts because it is fairly technical, and with our limited staff hours, we are unable to do those in-house. So this public engagement overhaul then will include, very timely update, as you can imagine, on social media or on a website. We need to do those very regularly. Otherwise, we lose our audience. Our resident will find other outlets like, for example, the commuter connections or some other overhaul when they don't get their timely information from the city. So that's the first step. Second is to modernize those. Like I talked about, we can no longer send pigeons or mailers to city, to residents' house anymore. Those need to be more instant. Those instant notifications, signing up for city website, email express, those kind of things, that's where we want to get to be able to provide our resident with the most up-to-date policy changes, program, initiative, as well as emergency. and also to be able to receive public input, right? Public input and transparency is very important to our city council. So this is that one step toward that. As you can imagine, see the pictures on the right there, we starting to solicit know-how, how to do video. Our Speed Cushions how-to video has got 3,300 view up there, and that is the steps and the pilot that we are wanting to initiate with this program is to not just shows what projects are being worked on, but also to provide an educational portal for a resident to be able to go to. This is how you sign up for an online utility bill. This is how you sign up to get a police report. This is how you do a public request for information, or this is how you sign up for a business license. Those kind of content and video and narrative are important, and that is going to be the next priority for staff. Again, so with that, it changes the scopes of how it was originally awarded. Originally, when this contract was awarded, it focuses solely on social media content and videos and pictures. Now that's going to be structured. This contract will now be reporting to the future public information officer positions, to where it's going to be directed. There's going to be narrative, so it's not going to just be video with just some music in the background. There's going to be narrative of why the project was happening, what was the important, and why it mattered to the community. Give a little bit more context and narrations, and again, focus on the how-to and the why. There's going to be deliverable that's set up on this contract. So there are contents, there are pictures, and there are events that are already pre-programmed for us to cover. And also to provide higher levels of quality. I know a lot of agencies have reached out to us. It's like, who did we use for our videos and content? Because they want to do the same things. I know City of Merced has just recently did that. So, and I think we are heading on the right tracks. All of which we are able to do with a reduced cost as well. Original contract was $7,500. That is now being reduced to a more structured contract at $5,000 per month. And this is meant to be for a 2-year contract with no CPI escalation. So there we'll be realizing a $2,500 per month saving that will then be used towards a future public information officer positions. That concludes my presentations. I'm happy to answer any question.
Okay, before we get into a lot of questions, I want to offer the public a chance to speak on this Resolution 7069, authorizing the city manager to amend the Image Way More contract. So please come forward. Please state your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Kathy Ballard. Neuron, good sales pitch. But I still have a problem with it. I had a problem with it when it first came out at $7,500 a month, because I'm not on Facebook, I'm not on TikTok, I'm not on Instagram. Our city website sucks. So you have a contract that you're looking at for Mid-Valley IT, which might solve one of the problems in regards to your website. I still think $5,000 is too much. Only because, number one, I haven't seen all these videos. I wish you had played them. Because I just get screenshots from residents and people that see it. I know that when they were doing roads, it basically looked like the same photo, the same thing over and over again. It's a street. We're repairing it. I understand our Public Works does a tremendous job, but seeing a video over and over again, now we're on Cardoza, now we're on Birch, it doesn't do anything for me. So in seeing events, it's usually after the event. It's not something to prompt people to go to that event. Such as your informational items for, we want your input, like for the homeless and for stuff like that. It's not advertising that to go to it. It's just showing you after the fact, and then people are saying, oh, I didn't know about it. Again, a website would help that. I've seen other websites that use, I don't know what they're called. You can grab photos of a road, and you can grab whatever, and you can do your narrative along with that. Do I really need to purchase at $5,000 a month something that I can get and grab from someplace else? Because it's public information. I know when it first started, and I've had people tell me this, there would be all these videos they got, and they all got dumped at one time for things that had been done a long time ago. And I'm like, oh, what a waste. I was told by the city council that we're doing it to make us look more attractive to developers, to get business, to get large jobs. I don't see anything, so in 2 years, have we gotten any nibbles? Just wondering. Your Facebook, I had to ask somebody, you have 8,000 followers. So I'm paying $60,000, and I've attracted, well, actually, I paid a lot more than that. I paid $180,000 to get 8,000 people following on Facebook. Seems quite a big price tag for that. So I just wanted you to let you know my opinion in regards to this. I've heard other people tell me that it's beneficial for the growth of our city, for transparency, for emergencies, but we are building a fire department that would be able to handle that. If you get a new website, some way to notify these people. Years ago, they used to have a monthly newsletter that came out, but again, that was all after the fact. This is what we did last month. If you could do a newsletter that could go out to people's emails that said what we're doing next month so that they can attend those functions or watch a city hall meeting. I know everybody doesn't have the time to come here. So that's basically it. Thank you.
We appreciate your comments. We appreciate your opinion. Please come forward. Please state your name again for the record.
Yes, Blanche George, downtown. I want to let you know how I use it. I'm not a heavy social media individual, but I do dabble, and I do answer questions. I am on the Nextdoor app, and when somebody asks a question, I quickly download the video and I send it, whether or not it is your dollars, someone's talking about, our dollars and how it's spent. I'm able to download all of yours. I was able to download the Easter egg hunt, and they did the video on the next one coming up and who was preparing it. It introduces the city employees so people know who to ask for. Just the other day, like 2 days ago, somebody mentioned about rare earth coffee, that people should try that new business that opened up. I was able to download the grand opening of it, and it was helping a business and people that had questions. I've been able to download the police department when they're going to be doing a DUI and what are their different aspects and what are their different jobs. So I push it to individuals that may not read paper, and I mean paper by like newsletters and things like that. They can't. They leave here at 3 and they don't get home till 8. And so we need to somehow capture them. This group also, when anybody pushes me back about the shelter or about what we're doing, I'm able to download the rabies shots and the microchipping events that we did, the adoption days. I was able to download that information and send it out and let them know how they could find it. So to me personally, this is a really big thing. And why I sometimes, I think the value of reaching people is instrumental for our city. And not only is it instrumental for our city, it's vital for the city. With any kind of plannings, any kind of buildings, the roads that are being done, how they're being done, what was the problem on West I Street? That was all covered with those videos. any of the meetings that we've all had, it was covered with those videos. So that true connection is really vital. And to me, sometimes if I want a specific something to eat or snack on, I, I may not be able to go to one grocery store that's more inexpensive, but the value of going to another grocery store that has that one item, that rare item that you really want, is valuable. So for me and all the people that follow me, all the 19K people that follow the shelter, yeah, it's increased from 16 to 19. All those people really enjoy getting informed. And I think that that's what's really important. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Anyone else, please come forward if you would like to speak on this item. Okay, I'll go ahead and thank you both for commenting, and I'll turn it back over to the City Council for questions or discussion.
Thank you, Mayor, and I appreciate the community that's come forward on this. Some of the things that Blanche George has mentioned, I think a lot of that will be taken care of once we revamp our new city website for it to be more informational about shelter, about our police department, about public works, all of our department agencies, the things that they're doing, projects they're working on, and dates to be completed. Those are things that will be easily found there. What people discuss on Nextdoor personally among themselves is a whole different avenue compared to what we will be providing here as a city to our residents in Los Banos. I had a lot of issue with this contract when it first came to us at $7,500 a month. I'm not a Facebook person. I don't do social media, so I wasn't able to access what my tax dollars had to pay and what your tax dollars had to pay as residents to view something that may have been multiple in its visual aspect. I think $5,000 is still a bit much to pay for these services, and how much are we going to be putting out there as content that our new website, as we move forward to develop it, could be posted on there. I know, I understand what the city is trying to do. I just think it's still a bit costly to our citizens to have to pay this amount of money for contracting videos. I just don't know at this particular time if we're going to have that much content that needs to be put out there. And certainly if we get to the point where we're putting more content out to our community, perhaps at that time, it could be reevaluated as to whether or not the cost of doing it is warranted. So that's my take on it. I'm just never really been enthusiastic about this. And as Kathy has indicated, I had a few people send me some snippets that they were able to download from social media. And sometimes I can open them and sometimes I couldn't. But it was the same thing over and over again. And I just think that duplicity is a bit much. People are encouraged and want to know the streets that are being repaired. We're going to have, major street repairs coming up here soon. Are we going to be doing videos of every single street that's going to be repaired? I think people are more interested in the fact that we're getting it done and that we're going to put a list out on our website indicating what streets are going to be done within a certain period of time. Certainly, I think it was in 2025 in May or somewhere around there, we approved all the streets that were going to be rehabbed during the 25-26 budget. So that information is out there. It may not be easily accessible to find, but I think that's where we can cure things as far as the revamp of our website, to have that information posted so that the residents can go there directly and be able to access it and know that their street areas are going to be taken care of. So that's my take on it. I do have some things here that I noticed, and I didn't go back and review the original contract. I think some of it was posted. I was trying to read it right quickly, but this is proposed to be a 2-year contract. But I didn't see, I thought in the original contract that it was kind of like on a month-to-month by authorization of the city manager, and also perhaps in the, let's see, what is it called? The content production and media capture services. When it talks about billing, it talks about monthly billing, and perhaps my question about how soon does the bill have to be turned in? That might be something that's under another policy within our city, because I don't see it here in the contract. But I did notice that there was nothing in this contract about whether it's going to be month to month or if we're just locked into a 2-year contract, and if things go sideways, how do we get out of it? So that's my turn.
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem, I think that's a great point. To answer your last few questions, this is based off our standard professional services agreement. It is a 2-year term contract. However, it is built in with a termination clause. So both party can initiate terminations with a 30-day notice. So at any time within those 2 years, we can give them 30-day notice and terminate the contract.
So does that have to be in this professional agreements that we have here?
No, because it's in the original agreement. So on item number 3 there, it say all term and condition of the agreement and the first amendments not modified by the second amendment shall remain in full force and effect.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah. And then if I may, Mayor, just to clarify it on a few more points, I think that was a well-timed comments in regards to our resident and how they consume contents. I do agree that not everybody are on social media, but I did just double check. Our police department's Facebook has 22,000 followers. We are residents of cities of 50,000, so pretty close to about half there. Yes, not the formal contents that was produced before highlight projects. There's not a lot of narrative. There's not a lot of what do I get out of it, right? However, that is what changed in this contract. And for me, it's not personal one way or another. It's up to council and expectations of what you want to see when we push out these contents, right? And that's why I highlight one section was one of the video that we post out in regards to speed cushions. That was a video that has narrative. How you get it, what does it do, and what impact is it going to have on the community. Those are the kind of contents that we are actually going to be focused more on with these kind of contract. There is a lot of different business that we do, from utility billings down to city attorney offices, all of which has its own little quirk and process on how to do them. Not every one of our member of community know how to do them, and that's why we want to retain this service to be able to produce those how-to videos and link them back to our city website. Currently, we do not have social media linked to our current website, but that's why one of the strategic plan on our website revamp is to go onto a website platform to where all of those social media contents are combined into one or two platform under one account to then be put back on the city website. So even if you don't have a social media account, you will be able to go to the city website page, homepage, and then you can scroll down to the bottom to where all those notifications will be, and you'll be able to click on them without needing Facebook's, Instagrams, or informations. The only thing that I would just kind of warn against that we are coming to an information technology multimedia age to where a lot of the new generations are no longer even asking Google how to. They're going to TikTok, looking at these short video reels, right? So as we are preparing to put these contents out, what are who are our audience? And that's kind of the thing that I would like to get some better directions on.
Well, have we done an analysis with that last statement as to who our audience is? Do we know that at this point?
One thing I know, though, is that our website does not track traffic. We do not have traffic data on website content. So we don't know how many people actually go to our website. And currently, as it its current status, how non-intuitive some of the features are. I can't imagine many people do. We actually don't know how many people that we sent letter to actually read the letter that we sent. We don't know how many people actually read the newspaper off the notice that we put in. However, on the social media content, we can see there's 3,300 view of that videos. There's 2,000 people view. Some of the PD events has 10,000 view on those. In terms of demographic, those we can dive down, and fortunately for social media site, as you post those, you can start to look at account and where's that, which people like it, who people comment on it. So that's give better data than how information was pushed out before through mailers or newspapers and such.
And that's the point I was making, and I didn't say that. I was making a particular point to social media. Do we have the data as to the demographics of age and interest and things like that based on what we've already received, or just the social media that's out there with our various departments? Police department, I can understand that there would be a large following there. It's probably one of our largest followings within the city, because everybody needs their service at some point, just as fire, they should be rather popular as well. But my point as a council member is dollars per service. And yes, it makes me happy that once we get our new website going, that it'll be easily accessible to anyone who has a computer and may not be connected to social media in any way, to be able to have the same information that other people have when it talks about our city and the services that we provide. So that's the point, where I'm coming from. Dollar for dollar, if we're talking about social media and bringing this into our city and putting it on the website, do we have enough data to justify, the dollars that we're spending?
Sorry,
Yeah.
comments?
Yeah, I
Oh,
got
I'm
some.
sorry. You did have a comment?
Yeah, so as far as, the social media stuff, agree with what Kathy's talking about. It's something we've done, it's passed, it's already happened. We need to be ahead of it. We need to, to invite people to what we're doing, get people there. And I think in speaking with Neuron and understanding his vision with the public information officer, that is the plan, is to do stuff like that. And, what's the narrative? What are we trying to tell people? And he wants to educate people and do things like that. I think it's good. The times have changed of how people consume information. And, as far as the analytics, there's a lot of analytics behind Facebook. I don't have Facebook, but I work in this arena. Instagram, TikTok, websites, driving traffic, the analytics of impressions, click-throughs, how many people have viewed. And you can get all those analytics from accounts that have actually people that are signed into profiles, and that's where you get your demographics, you get the age, you get the ethnicity, and all this other stuff. People that don't have that stuff, it's just an open account and not with a profile. You won't get that. I will say, as far as what we're paying for it, we're getting a pretty good deal on it. And the reason I say that, again, where I work in the private sector, I'm dealing with this. I've gone through I just went through this process, but where I work, and it's expensive. And because to make it work right, yeah, if it's not being done correctly, you're wasting your money. But I think that's why he wants to make the change that he's talking about. He's talked, at least with me, about that. I think he's got a great plan. He's got a great idea. I think, where he's going to lay it out is how we're going to, get to people. What is it we want to tell them? And he's got all that already laid out to do that. Tying it all in, yeah, you tie in, and that's where all this stuff comes into play, because you start tying it into the website, the Facebook, the Instagram, all that stuff works together, and you reach a lot of people. And you can see who's actually getting the message and not, like you said about the paper. You don't know, and we don't know. I will say, in my household, it's probably perfect because TV is dying. It's, in my household, wife and daughter, they really don't even watch TV. We only have cable because I watch the news. And this is taken over. Everyone has this in their hands like a mini computer, and the information is going there, and people consume it differently. People want to get their information the way they want to consume it. I think with all this, you've got it all covered. But as far as the price, it's a pretty good deal. For what we're getting it at, I think it's pretty good you're able to negotiate that, Neron. I think that's a good deal there. And I know it sounds like a lot, and we are responsible for the money that we're spending. But I'm telling you right now, I wish I could get it for this price. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Any comments over here?
I also want to add, just like you said, Marcus, I do agree that it is a good deal. I myself did social media marketing in the past, and video editing, the equipment that they use, it can get expensive. It takes time. I know I use certain systems to even do the video editing itself, and I chose to pay extra so I can get those extra, the better edits and better captions, things like that. So I know it can get pretty pricey as well, and it's very time consuming. I had spoken to Neon as well, and I do like the changes that are being made, and I think it'd be a lot better to get this content out faster. And I understand a lot of people don't use social media, but the reality is we are in a social media age. I know I would love to see more participation, and that means for everyone, right? And we do have to start thinking about the future, the younger generations. Unfortunately, that's just what they do. They get all their news and their information from social media. So I think we have to find a balance, right? People that don't use social media, yes, I think it's important to revamp our website. But social media, it's just how a lot of people get their information. And I think it's also providing a good platform for residents to interact. So I've seen residents commenting and then others commenting back. So I think it does provide a good platform for residents to interact with each other and, inform each other about things and even make connections with other people. So I do appreciate the social media, and I think it's a really good change.
Anything?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got a couple questions. Are there any other costs to the city, such as mileage reimbursables, expendables, equipment reimbursements, things like that?
No, Council, this is it. It's $5,000 per month. Yeah.
One of the things that I know that we had a recent incident at one of the local employers, and there was a big gap in providing information. And I think that this will help fill that gap, to provide timely information to our residents, especially of an emergency nature. And I think that the public information officer could fill that role, will fill that role, hopefully. However, with this $5,000, it does seem high to me. It does seem high to me because would not the public information officer also have kind of a dual role in providing some of that content, some of that information, some of that video to go along with the information that that individual will be putting out? So if we then have here at $5,000 and then we have the additional cost of another employee with benefits, I would assume, then the package of this is going to be well over 100,000 plus. Mm-hmm. So it seems like a lot of money. And I don't think that we have the mechanism, we don't have the capacity right now to justify that large ticket. I think that we're going to get there, but I don't see us being there right now. Yes, information is readily available. You're absolutely right, correct, Councilwoman. But I'm looking at the costs, and right now, are we going to have the impact? What metrics did we use to see how effective this contract was in the last 2 years? Do we have that information? I know that would help kind of soften the blow, in my opinion. So those are my concerns.
Okay, well, all very good comments from the council.
Mayor, I have a follow-up, if I may. I keep hearing about, interaction of social media and people, this is the age we're in. I do realize that. I don't think, if I'm understanding this correctly, this is not a platform where people will be interacting and commenting about stuff, or is it going to, with us putting social media from the videos that will be posted from this contract, is this going to be something that's interactive, or is this going to be like news information that's being put out to the public on a much faster basis?
To clarify that question, Councilwoman, so when we post out content or post onto social media, the member of the public can comment on them. We do not restrict comments, so they can share those videos. They can come in and add comment to each one of those. So a lot of our video that comes out, I actually read each one of those. However, we do not have legal obligations to read those comments or respond to them. In fact, it is not one of those, as much as the public can comment and communicate with one another on them, we are not obligated or at this stage plan to use that platform to respond back to every comment on every questions on one of those. We don't have that resource yet, and that's why it's needed for us to have, we will be bringing back a discussion items on the public information officer. So right now, the way we use social media is a one way out to distribute information, not to collect feedback.
And that's what I thought this was supposed to be. And so in regards to Councilmember Refugio Yames, that's how I saw this to be, is information getting out to the public via the content of this contract and a potential information officer, and, you know, pulling videos from various departments that are trying to get information out to the public, not necessarily a conversational event between, as normal social media would happen. I thought this was supposed to be more us pushing out information to the public more quickly and allowing people who aren't on social media to be able to see it as well. I guess I didn't view this as being something conversational back and forth, because then to me, that starts to get a bit messy when you have so much public input about something. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be able to comment, thank you for sharing, or whatever, like something of that sort. But I don't want to see the city getting into a situation where we're having to defend ourselves over and over again behind one issue on social media as it is today. You know, that just seems to defeat the purpose of us trying to push information out to the public. And again, I thought this was informational only, and, you know, not a situation where there's going to be public interaction back and forth like this. And maybe that might be something in the future that we can look at, but I'm still struggling with the dollar amount to do what we need to do as far as just getting information to the public, and how much is it, you know, going to cost us? I mean, are we going to be shooting everything that's out there, or what? You know, this is not about, for me, even though I stated I don't have social media, this is about the city getting information out to the public much quicker and allowing everybody to have access to it, which is the transparency part. It's not about us engaging with social media kind of thing. It's about us taking information that this company is going to provide to us and putting it out there so that it will be on a social media website, I guess, continually, but also as well as posting it on the city website so that everybody has access. So that's my take on it, and I still feel it's a little bit expensive at this point for us to do, because we need to build up to where we need to get. We need to get our information, public information officer, and if at some point it's going to cost us this $5,000 to do it, then maybe that'll be justified. But right now, to me, this seems to be a little bit expensive based on what we need to provide, and we don't have the website set up at this point to provide it to the public to be able to access what media is going to be put out there, whether it's something that's already happened or something that futuristically is going to happen, whether it's something to help people figure out how to apply, you know, for something at our building department, what they need to do when they're pulling a permit to start a business, license, all of that stuff. It's great. I'm really 100% behind that. It's just that is the cost of us providing this particular service matching up what we need to push out to the public? Because you need to only do those kinds of things once. And if something changes, like the policy changes, then we push that information out. But we don't change the policy up here every time we have a council meeting. There are things that we can encourage our businesses to do, like, following whatever ordinances we have that may be sliding a little bit in our community. Those kinds of things I see helpful as we move forward with these videos. But I guess maybe I just needed to have a more dollar cost to what we're paying for with taxpayer dollars. Not that the future is social media. That's neither here or there to me. It's what the city is pushing out to get information out to the public for this particular contract and the cost of it for the city. Thank you, Mayor. That's it.
Okay. Very good comments from the council. I think this is, well, we've all noticed the last couple of months we've pretty much gone dark on social media. This company does a very good professional job. I want our city to be viewed out in the public professionally. I don't want any kind of videos that get described as secondhand or something like that. I think it's really important. An image is very, very important. So it has to be done professionally. And this is not, even in my world, in my restaurant, this is not, my cost isn't this. But in comparison to a $100 million budget and my budget, this is a pretty good deal, actually. And I think what we all have to keep in mind, that this is there's a 30-day clause that anyone can get out of this contract. So if it's not working for the council, you can talk to our city manager and we can get out of that contract. But this, what it's all about, what's been the really, in the last 2 or 3 years, not last year, but before, what's been the problem that people have said to us when we weren't on the council or whatever you were on the council, is that they don't know what's going on, there's not enough transparency, there's not enough accountability. Accountability means communication. And if we can spend hours up here making decisions, and if no one knows what we're doing, that's pretty sad. And I think this is the first step. The website's the second step, and we have to push out what we're doing, because that's the only way we will get reaction from the community, that if it's good, bad, what they want, or leave that alone. And I think we just keep in mind that we have a 30-day clause. So if it's not working to our standards, then we can end it. And but I think this is very important. I think the city, I don't want to jump the gun, but this was the first step. And how do we know if it's ever going to work if we don't do the first step? If we go black in the dark, I mean in communication, and we build a beautiful website, now what do we do? You want each department head with their camera out there, and so when I was dealing with the college, when I was keynote speaker, they have a crew of like 12 people on segways running around the college videotaping. And then we went to Sutter, and they had their little crew there. And everybody has his crews because they know how all these corporations and other governments know how important communication it is. I know it's different. A lot of people don't get newspaper anymore, and that's also an after-fact thing. So I think it's really important, like has been set up here, is that we're announcing what's taking place next week, next month, what's coming up. That's so, so very important. And then videotape it like we have the Easter egg hunts and things like that to show community pride and development. We can't build pride unless we tell our story. Now, I know in my business, I can go to my IT person, he could tell me how many people see this video, what their age brackets are. Oh, we had one video that went over 1 million views because one of my employees threw some whipped cream in the face. It was all planned, in the face of another employee. And then España's got 1 million views. Think about that. This little Las Banos, just a little restaurant, and it was all over the nation. And that's crazy stuff. And I know it's so different than it used to be. But it's a new year. We have to figure it out. But I think we need to take this first step to know if the next step of the website, and I agree. A lot of my wife's not on social media either. I am. I got on social media because of my business many, many, many years ago. But she's not on it, so I explain to her and I show her videos of the city and stuff like that, and she's not going to get on it. That's why it's so important that then gets put onto our website so people that aren't on social media can get it. But we have to remember, the way you get people to your website is through social media. That's how you get them to your website. There has to be a mechanism that you put out, that go to the website and you'll see how to ask for speed bumps on your road, how to ask for a pothole to be filled on your road, and things like that. So you still need both of them. They work hand in hand. That's my thoughts on it.
Mayor, if I may
Yeah.
clarify two things, just because this contract is in front of you, you can make modification to the contract as it is, and we can go back to the contractor. But I think what I'm hearing is there's appetite for definitely accountability. If it ease your mind, we certainly can bring this back in 6 months to you on what has been produced with this new amendment, and then let council decide at those periods to say, well, it's worth the money or it's not worth the money. And then while I'm up here, might as well put in my IT hat a little bit. We have Mid-Valley IT here in the back as well. So Corey, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but may I ask you to come forward real quick? Mid-Valley IT manage our current website as it is, but I believe, Corey, please correct me if I'm wrong, if we are to create a content or a video tomorrow, say about applying for a business license or to sign up for a utility bill online, can that video in an MP4 format be uploaded to our website, viewable without social media?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So-
So you can create a post and then embed the actual video right into the post, and then people can go and see it. In fact, previous mayor, I think it was Faria, would post his videos on there as well. And he had something called Mayor's Corner that he would post.
So that capability can be done now, and that's something that we can take direction from council tonight as well.
And certainly, for me, again, I'm not disputing anything that we need regarding getting that information out to the public. All of that I agree with. For me, the transparency part is we don't have a nexus as to, we're starting all over now again. And what are we going to be putting out now, 6 months, a year? And is this cost justifiable for right now? That's the point I'm trying to make. And that's all about transparency too. We're asking the public to pay $5,000 a month for something that we haven't given them any nexuses or, any information to go on that, yeah, this is good. You guys are making a good decision. Let's spend the $5,000. And that's the hard decisions that we have to make up here as council people. But for me, I don't have that information to tell me, starting off again, since the mayor indicated we've been dark for a while. We're starting off at $5,000, but, could it be like, $3,000 worth of work that's going to be done over the next 6 months to justify whether or not we pay $5, or do we have a contract that gets escalated over the 2-year period of time based on how much information is going to be put out there to the public? That's my position on this. And it's kind of taken me a bit to get around to that, but I'm not disagreeing that we don't need the information out there, because in order to get it on our website, we have to have it. But is the price that we're paying now justifiable to the content that's going to be put out there to the public?
Thank you. Okay, thank you for coming forward. All right. Okay, with that, is there any further questions? So if we have a motion, or what's the?
Yeah, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 7069 as read by title.
And second.
We have a motion and a second for Resolution 7069 as stated. Any further questions or comments? The only comment I have is I not necessarily want to put in the contract that they have to come back, but let's have just in 3 to 6 months, whatever you decide, just have a review. Okay. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, whether no or? Aye. Aye, okay, we have 4 ayes and 1 no. Thank you very much. And now we'll move on to item 13, consideration adoption City Council Resolution 7070 approving a 3-year managed in service agreement with Mid-Valley IT and authorizing the city manager execute the agreement. And with this, we'll go over to our finance director, Moreno.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Tonight, I'm presenting the proposed 3-year managed information technology services agreement with Mid-Valley IT, along with the SB 707 compliance upgrades for the council chambers, as you've heard from our city attorney quite a bit. This item ensures the city maintains stable, secured IT operations and meets new state requirements for remote public participation. Staff is requesting approval of the agreement and authorization for the city manager to execute the contract. This agreement provides comprehensive IT support for the city, including unlimited remote and on-site assistance, regular stop-by service, and both standard and emergency response times. It also includes network documentation, capital planning, and enterprise-level antivirus and monitoring tools. This monthly cost for core IT services is $12,877 plus $2,380 for managed backup services. Additional subscriptions-based tools such as antivirus, two-factor authentication, and email filtering are billed based on actual usage. This agreement includes a standard 3.5 annual cost of living adjustment. SB 707 requires all public agencies, as you heard tonight, to provide the public with the ability to participate remotely by phone or video conference. Our current AV system is outdated and includes end-of-life components, which limits our ability to reliably support hybrid participation. The proposed modernization ensures we meet the legal requirement and improves the overall quality, accessibility, and transparency of our public meetings. The modernization project includes several key upgrades: a dedicated Zoom Teams video conferencing PC, optional VoIP backup, new staff and clerk tables with microphones and monitors, replacement of the main chamber displays, and fully updated production switching and graphics system. It also includes new wireless microphones, improved streaming and recording capabilities, and replacement of the end-life Crestron system with a modern video over IP platform. The total cost for the SB 707 compliance and AV modernization projects is $358,273.80. The fiscal impact includes the monthly maintenance, IT services, and backup services, along with the subscription-based tools billed by usage. The one-time cost for the SB 707 AV modernization, as I stated, was $358,000. Funding is available in the current IT budget, as well as account 212-410-100-752, supported by the San Joaquin Air Pollution Control Board grant and PEG franchise fees. Staff recommends that the council approve the managed IT services agreement, approve the SB 707 AV modernization project, and authorize the city manager to execute the contract. I'm here if you have any questions.
Okay, with that, I'll open up to public. Anyone who would like to speak on consideration of Resolution 7070, please come forward. Okay, I do not see anyone coming forward. We'll move back to the city council. Any questions, comments?
Yeah, what are backup services? What's that 2,380 paying for? What's it covering?
we have our IT.
Page 170.
Hello. My name's Joy Alexander. I'm Director of Sales for Mid-Valley IT, and I've been actually with the City of Los Banos for a long time. And so your backup services, that means everything in all of your servers, especially for PD, who has a large amount of servers, is getting backed up in the cloud. And people are like, what's the cloud? It's really what I would say like data centers. There's about 6 across the United States that we use. So if something fails here, it's being backed up in Chicago. So we've got California, Chicago, Texas. It's on the East Coast. If there's an earthquake, that California location will bounce back to Chicago or something like that. So all that information, and recently that price did go up because the PD's data is so large, and they have to keep it for a large amount of time. So if something goes down right now, their server crashes, there's a fire, we're able to pull up because those backups happen twice a day, I think, or is it twice a day? Twice a day, whatever that last backup was. So if it was at midnight and this server is crashed at 5 a.m., we could go back to whatever happened at 12 o'clock midnight and pull that information up. And it would just be a matter of time. Like, it's not automatic. We'd have to get a new server in place, and then we could pull all that information up. So it's really the safety of all that data that you have here in the city.
So I'm assuming it's very data intensive as far as I'm assuming the cameras that are all the video that's getting uploaded constantly?
Yeah. Probably have to because he's the camera guy. He does more of that. I'll let him speak.
I'm Corey Silvera. I'm the Director of Engineering for Mid-Valley IT. So a lot of that data is all the files, snapshots of the actual virtual machines that make up the servers. So both city and PD have a stack of servers that we put in a stack, and then we virtualize off of that with the resources. And then those individual servers get backed up, and then the actual files get backed up as well. So like normal flat files like Word documents and stuff like that. If there's any changes, any concurrent changes, those get backed up as well. So that way we have usually about 5 revisions or so that we can go back for files. And then, as Joy mentioned, 2 backups a day for the actual the virtual servers themselves. The great thing about the city that both City Hall and PD have is that if, say, a server were to go down, it actually has a failover where it fails over, and it doesn't even act like if there's anything wrong with the network. The users won't see anything. We will see something, and then we will actually have to work on that and say, okay, this physical server is broken. All the other virtual servers, it switches it over.
But you guys wouldn't see it.
Yeah. That would be pretty scary if you guys were to see that, those blinking lights and all that. But that way you can keep continuity, not just with PD, but with city.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor. So the total project is $358,273,000 and change. Of that portion, what is the cost for the chamber upgrade? Because I see there are different, there's a project table here, but I'm not sure exactly what portion of that belongs to the chamber.
That is the chamber upgrade.
So
That's
the whole
full-
358 is the
Yes.
chamber upgrade?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and part of it's being funded through the grant, and part of it's being funded through PEG fees.
Well, since you said that, I want to give a shout out and thanks to
Air Board.
the San Joaquin
Yes.
Valley
Oh, yeah.
Air Pollution Control District for the $150,000 grant, which is almost a 50% offset to this project for the city.
100%,
So,
yeah.
we
Yes.
were very fortunate to be granted that money to help us out.
Well, any other comments? Questions? I want to thank Mayor Pro Tem because I know you twisted a lot of arms to get that grant. You talked about it a whole year before we got it, so.
The
yeah,
second time around, trying to get it.
So we need another 150. But thank you for doing that. And I guess there's no more questions with that, so thank you too for coming to the microphone. So with that, what's the council would entertain a motion for 7070 resolution.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to, let me get my glasses here. See, what number are we on?
7070.
13? Okay.
13, yeah.
14, I'm sorry.
13.
13?
13.
Okay, I got it. I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 7070 as read by title.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for resolution 7070 as stated. Any questions or comments? I'll just say that this is being pushed by SB 707 that Mary just talked about earlier this evening, but I think it's all going to work out better for everybody. More access to our city. I remember back in 95 when we wanted to put us on TV, it was such a big deal back then. And we had to make deals with Televents, I think it was Televents at the time. Yeah, there was something. Then we got the school board, then we got the county, then we got MCAG. And so anyway, now we're 2026. Good thing I'm not getting any older. So anyway, with that, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Mayor, real quick, just to clarify, now that that motion is passed, now I can let go of the little cookie. This is a massive project for us, $358,000 worth of chamber upgrade. There will be some impacts and interruptions to council chamber as the AV equipment and stuff getting impacted. So we will likely see an impact on our May council meeting. So for May, for maybe the last meeting in April and the first meeting in May, we will probably have to find an alternate locations or cancel one of those meetings to allow them the time to actually rewire and redo all of our AV equipment. So just for information.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Next item 14, consideration and adoption of City Council Resolution 7071, approving the cooperative agreement for local improvements between the state of California acting through its Department of Transportation, referred to as Caltrans, and the city of Los Banos for the cost of safety improvements at the intersection of State Route 152 and West I Street in the city of Los Banos, and authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement. With this, we'll go to our Public Works Director, Mr. William Veit.
Thank you. Good evening again, Mayor and council members. I have a presentation here that covers both this item and the next item on the agenda. One relatively short presentation, so I'll go through this, and I will be available for questions afterwards. So the items before you tonight have to do with Caltrans pavement anchor project on Highway 152. And these are the limits of the project. So you can see the dark line there with the big arrows pointing at it. That's the actual construction, and that's basically about halfway between the college and Badger Flat Road is where it starts on the west, and it goes all the way out to San Luis Street, just a little past San Luis Street on the east side. So they're gonna do a pavement rehab all the way through town, both lanes in both directions, and they're gonna be adding some sidewalk in certain locations, and they're gonna upgrade and add ADA accessible ramps throughout that corridor. And this project is, they're currently in design with Caltrans. We've had multiple meetings with them to get to this point where we're at tonight, so they're keeping us updated on this. It's scheduled for construction tentatively right now for the winter of 2026, and probably be completed late spring, early summer of 2027. The first item for the cooperative agreement has to do with this intersection, and what that agreement says is that the city will contribute a certain amount of money, in this case up to $200,000, to pay for a portion of the improvements that aren't necessarily related to the rehabilitation of State Route 152, and in this case, that's the West I Street intersection. And you can see on the photo on the left is the current state of that intersection, and you can see on the bottom of the photo Going northbound on I Street, there's a shared left turn and through lane, and then there's a dedicated right turn lane, and it's just there's no left arrow, it's just a green signal. And the signal is the same on the other side, going southbound, but there's a dedicated left turn lane, a through lane, and a right turn lane, but there's no signal on that side either, no left arrow signal. So what's proposed is to restripe the northbound lane to have a dedicated left turn lane and then have a shared through and right turn lane with a left turn arrow in both directions. So it will be a controlled left turn like all of the other signals through town are, which will really improve the safety of this intersection and keep traffic moving, because currently what happens in some situations is one car is waiting to turn left and then everybody behind them is waiting, or they're trying to swing around them to avoid waiting for them, and then you have another car turning left, and then you have a conflict there, which can cause a lot of accidents. So this is really going to improve the safety and the functionality of this intersection. So what they're going to do is the restriping, and then they'll hang those two left turn arrows on the existing masthead. Also, as part of this intersection is where the next item comes from, which is the dedication of a portion of our right-of-way to Caltrans to upgrade the ADA ramp at the southwest corner of that intersection. The local contribution, here's just a short explanation. The cooperative agreement outlines the financial responsibilities of the city with a not to exceed amount of $200,000 for the improvements. And that's not just the improvements, that's also paying for a small portion of the engineering and design of this project. The total project is estimated, the last estimate I heard was about $23 million. So we're paying a very small portion, and it's and $200,000 for the restriping of that intersection and the signals. It's a pretty good deal, and the entire project is going to benefit the city of Los Banos. And we've requested Measure V regional funds to be able to cover those costs associated with this project. The right-of-way contract is, as I mentioned before, is the subject property at the southwest corner, updating that ADA ramp. And they require the acquisition of a highway easement deed for that parcel number in connection with this project. The contract sets forth the terms and conditions of the acquisition, and the agreement states that the state shall pay the city of Los Banos the total sum of $4,800 as compensation for the property interest conveyed. The compensation amount includes full settlement of all claims related to the property and the proposed highway improvement. So the recommendation is, staff recommends that City Council adopt the resolution authorizing the city manager to execute the cooperative agreement for the local improvements. And the financial obligation is estimated not to exceed $200,000. And staff is also recommending the City Council adopts a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute the right-of-way contract and corresponding documents between the state of California, acting through the Department of Transportation, referred to as Caltrans, and the city of Los Banos for parcel 17875-1, identified as APN 027-182001. And I'm available for any questions.
Okay, before we ask questions, is there anyone from the public would like to speak on the City Council Resolution 7071 as stated, the intersection of I and Pacheco? Okay, we'll turn it back over. Thank you. We'll turn it back over to City Council. Any questions or comments?
I have a comment,
Sure.
Mayor. I was really happy to see this project move forward because when I'm traveling on north on West I Street, there are times I'm number one at the red light, and as soon as it turns green, the people traveling south in the left turn lane, they turn right in front of that first car, and we've had several accidents out there because people just can't be patient anymore. So this kind of enforces patience of people traveling north and south. And I'm just really grateful that Caltrans is partnering with us to restripe that road so that we can have a better control and lessen the ability of people having accidents. So thank you, William, for working on that, and thank you, Neuron, for making sure that that project goes through.
Any other comments? Do I entertain a motion then?
I'll do it, Mayor, since it's
Okay.
in my district.
Sure.
So I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 7071 as read by title.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second for Resolution 7071 as stated. Any further questions or comments? Not hearing any, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next item, consideration adoption of City Council Resolution 7072, approving a right-of-way contract and corresponding documents between the State of California, acting through its Department of Transportation, referred to as Caltrans, and the City of Los Banos for parcel 18875-1, located at 1301 West I Street, and authorizing the city manager to execute that contract. William already talked about that one piece that we have to deed over. Is there anybody from the public would like to talk on that deed over parcel? Okay, any council comments, questions? Then I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion on this one as well to approve Resolution 7072 as read by title.
Second.
Okay, motion and second for Resolution 7072.
Mitzi.
Mitzi. And with that, any further questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Motion carried. Thank you, William. We'll start off with our city department reports, and we'll start off with Community and Economic Development Director, Stacy Souza Elms.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to update the council and that the Planning Commission did attend the Planning Commission Academy. We had 4 commissioners. I had my planning technician there, myself, and our city attorney attended. There were a lot of sessions on housing laws, and we learned lots of new information. And it's just a great academy to go to, even for seasoned planning commissioners or even seasoned staff, and that you're always learning something new. So we appreciate the council's investment in our planning commission and being able to attend. Next is letting the council know that the city of Los Banos has been awarded $134,500 for the HAP grant from Merced County. This is the Homeless Housing Assistance and Prevention Program. This is an item that we've been sent a letter of award, but the actual award would need to come to City Council for approval. I just wanted to let you know that that the Merced County has identified the city as an awardee. This funding would be used for rapid rehousing services, which would look like deposits, application fees, and rental assistance to help with One Tree. So that item will be coming to you in the future. I also wanted to update the council on the One Tree project, which is the 58 permanent supportive housing units. Grading has begun at One Tree. So it's looking like a construction site, lots of activity happening there. And next step after grading will be installation of infrastructure. And then after that, we're going to start to see the modular units delivered and some vertical builds happening. So all super exciting. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Finance Director, Minnie Moreno.
Good evening, Mayor. Just wanted to let you know, budget cycle is starting again, and it's almost been a year since I got here. It's really close. So we're going to be working with our city manager tomorrow to get the dates and the schedule updated, and so we know when everything is due with the departments, and getting that put together for you. We might be having a Cinco de Mayo workshop where we might have some tacos. So we're looking forward to creating that schedule. And we're still assisting all of our residents with shut-offs. So if anybody has any hardships or anybody needs to make a payment arrangement, make sure you're giving us a call before you actually get shut off so we can work with you. Or even if you've already been shut off, staff is willing to make those arrangements, and they're working really hard towards that. And I also want to congratulate my staff for finance, government finance week next week. They do a great job for the city of Los Banos, and I'm really appreciative of our team, and thank you for that proclamation. That's all for me.
Thank you very much. Fire Chief Paul Twala. Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Well, got a couple updates. Doing some firefighter and some engineer testing this week coming up, and then also this past weekend we did the Sunday alarm event. We installed almost 110 smoke detectors. We focused our area just north of B Street in the Santa area. So the cooperation with Red Cross and County Fire and our folks did a really good job with that. And my folks are pretty impressed because they had a really rough weekend last weekend. Plenty of fire activity. So we've been super busy. But that's all I have to report.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Human Resources Interim Director Isabel Carlos.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. We were happy to facilitate the new hires that were presented earlier today. We congratulate them. We welcome them to the city team, and we'll have more new hires to present very soon to you. Thank you. That's my brief report tonight.
Thank you very much. Park and Rec Director Joe Heim.
Hey, good evening. So the big one is the egg hunt coming up on March 28th. It's our 5th annual. We hosted at Oliveira Park. Starts at 10 a.m. Again, that's March 28th, Saturday. So hopefully we get some good weather, and it's one of our favorite events. It's really, really well attended. So if you have a chance, stop by. Otherwise, I wanted to give you an update on Sunrise Ranch Park. We finally got the PG&E out there to put the meter in, so it's electrified. There are a couple tiny steps, such as we're looking to get a photo cell in order to get the lights on a timer. But otherwise, I stopped by the other night, and it looks really good at night there, lit up. We are also registering for a number of programs, such as Easter baking class. And the last thing I wanted to announce was we just recently released our spring-summer recreation guide. And I know I left a copy with you guys, but if you would like to, you could stop by the community center and get a copy, or find it on our city website on the Parks and Rec page. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Joe. The Police Department, Commander Milne.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So a brief update is we just placed Officer Vanis Warren. He was a school resource officer for Valley Community School. He's going to be moving. He was selected as a motor officer. So come April 1st, he'll be transitioning over to a full-time motor assignment. We're very excited to support him in that role, and excited to bring that level of service to the community as they've exercised their thoughts that traffic is in need of increased enforcement efforts. So you will see him out on the motorcycle very soon, and we're excited to have that happen. In addition to that, you all met Nicholas today. He's a maintenance person for the police department, and we are very excited to have him there. He's already taken a huge load away from our staff, taking on several maintenance-related issues that the new facility had. And I just wanted to thank you all for that, providing those resources that we're all using now. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Commander. Public Works, William Bai, Director.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of updates. We have a meeting tomorrow with our consulting engineer, Govea Engineering, for the 2026 Phase 1, if I remember correctly, road rehabs, which include a large portion of West I Street, and then some of the streets in the Snow Goose area, which includes ADA ramps. So we have a meeting with them tomorrow to review 100% plans. So that should be out to bid probably the first half of April if everything goes good in that meeting tomorrow. So construction is should be set somewhere the first or second week of June to begin, and should be completed by September if everything goes well. September-ish. The other one is I just wanted to mention, and this is one of the things that will be helpful when we go live, when everybody can watch from home, is when we give some of these informational items. I just wanted to remind everybody that spring has sprung. I think everybody has notices that. So everybody's sprinklers are probably coming back on. So just as a reminder, the water days, if your address ends in an odd number, your days are Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And if it ends in an even number, it's Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. No watering on Monday, and the hours are between no watering between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. to try to reduce some of that evaporation. If there are any issues with with your timers, if they need to be reset with the time change, maybe something's messed up. The public, anybody can call the Public Works Yard at 827-7056 and set up a time, and we'll come and reprogram your sprinklers for you to try to keep you on the proper schedule. And that concludes my report.
Great. Thank you, William. City Attorney, Mary Lerner.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank the entire council for the opportunity to attend the Planning Commission Cal Cities Conference. It was informative, as Director Elm said, a lot of good sessions on housing. But I think for me, it was also important because I got to spend time with the planning commissioners, got to know them better, got to know staff better through meals together, and we even went to downtown Disney one evening together. And I think we got back pretty late for me. It's like 10 o'clock. So anyway.
10 o'clock, pretty late.
10 o'clock, pretty late for me. Anyway, it was really good to connect. So I appreciate that.
Great.
So thank you.
We're glad you could do that. City Manager Neron Than.
Mayor, I'll report out. Last one to give a notice. On April 17, we will be hosting Pacheco High School for a mock city council. So I want to make sure that all the council members are invited to play the role of the member of the public and ask the students, as they will be acting on your behalf as the mayor and city council member, to really understand how our government work in a local agency. So we're very excited to be hosting them from the government class from Pacheco High. So I think we're looking upward about 100 student or so we'll be packing our chamber. Thank you, Mayor.
Fantastic. Okay, we'll start with our city council members report, and we'll start with Mayor Pro Tem Lewis.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, first of all, I'd like to start off with this past Friday, the Valley Ag Partners and San Joaquin Air Pollution Control District and the California Air Resources Board sponsored an event which was called Farmers Funding Success Showcase at an iron crushing facility in Fresno called Bruno's. And this showcase was representing farmers who had received funding to replace their tractors, but as a result of receiving the funding, they'd have to give up their old tractors to the facility to be crushed. Now, the wonderful thing about this is that for me, I had an opportunity to crush a tractor, and it was really cathartic to just, lift a tractor up in the air, smash it first, and then lift it up in the air and drop it. I understand people go to certain places and smash things just to get excess energy out and pay to do that. So
You have a video of it?
Well, actually, I had one of the Board of Supervisors supervise it, but I think he flipped my camera over to slow-mo. So staff did record it, so they're going to send me a copy of what they had. But I had a little small tractor, and when I crushed it, I guess there was water in the radiator, and it just went all over the young man who was helping me with the joysticks. And then he told me to bring it all the way up in the air and just drop it. So that was like the big issue. No, everybody else was just crushing tractors. So I had a little bit of an opportunity to do something different. So it was really fun. And I'm just really thankful that these farmers were able to get their new tractors. by the funding through the state of California. I wanted to just read something here from our CEO in regards to this program, and this is in regards to tractor replacement. He says, we have over 630 million pending applications, representing 6,500 applicants of farmers. We're not taking any new applications at this time due to the number of applications that we already have. And we only have $60 million left in the program. So 60 million versus needing 630 million is it's a big difference. So the tractor replacement program was very successful. Unfortunately, because of budget restraints, the money hasn't come down through the state of California. But again, you can see that farmers are still waiting in line to get new tractors via this program. And I had an opportunity to sit in one of the new tractors. I felt like I was climbing the Empire State Building to get in it. But very nice equipment. All air conditioning, all the programming's inside of these new tractors to help them do their rows and all the stuff that they need to do. So it's very computerized for these farmers to operate these tractors. If I'd like to make a request at our next meeting, I know we have a weed abatement program that's coming up, and if we can get our fire department to give an update on that. I've gotten a few calls from residents in District 4 reporting areas, and I've assured them that we're on top of that to get this program going, but I think people are feeling a little bit nervous now that the heat is ramped up. Those weeds are drying up rather quickly now. And one of the things that I've noticed as I drive around town, and especially in my district, that garage sales are increasing. And when we passed the garage sale ordinance, I think this was back in the mid-teens, 2013, 14, somewhere in there. It was passed because there were people having garage sales every weekend and as a income supplement. And of course, no business license were pulled to do this. So the city had a mandate that you can have, I believe it's 4 garage sales a year, and you have to go online and pull a permit to do so. And I've noticed that some homes have already had 4 garage sales within 1 month. So I'm not sure if we can figure out a way to help the community understand that they need to go online to do that. And perhaps with this new program that you're developing, we can get that information out to the public and get it online at our website. But I think people, I don't know if they're ignoring it or that they just don't know what to do, but the garage sales are increasing, and there are some people that are having way more garage sales than the allowable within our city ordinance. Okay, and that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Perez.
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome, Councilmember Llamas, for your first full meeting, I should say. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Again, I want to give thanks to the council for your show of confidence. I greatly appreciate this opportunity. And I also really appreciate, give thanks to the city staff, the very warm welcome this past year as we conducted the administrative processing, which comes with this position. I look forward to meeting with the department heads when we schedule that to get more in-depth reporting and understanding of where we are with certain projects. So I look forward to that scheduling shortly. And also, I will be scheduling a public engagement meeting. I'm not sure what the proper terminology is for it, but I'll call it a public engagement meeting with the public to reintroduce myself to District 2. And more importantly, to provide an opportunity for members of District 2, and it's going to be open to anyone, but to get more information and be able to ask questions in a more permissive environment Questions such as public safety, roads, large projects, small projects, et cetera. Again, it'll be a more permissive environment, won't be some of the restrictions that we have here, unfortunately, at the city council meeting. What else? Want to know if we had any thought into the city public recognizing the 250th anniversary of the founding of our republic. It's a very significant event, and I was talking to you, Mr. Mayor, about it. I think it's the most important event in world history, as it changed the relationship of the government and the governed. Before, you were subjects and basically didn't have any rights, and now it kind of turned that on its head. So hopefully we can, if we have time to somehow recognize that. I think it's, again, very significant in world affairs. And that's all I have. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Chavez.
Yeah. Hey, William, real quick question. A lot of people call for the sprinkler setup thing. Just curiosity.
I don't know about a lot, but we do get quite a few requests throughout the year, and usually at this time of year when there's a time change, and then it's also spring, so those kind of collide at the same time.
Yeah,
so
no,
we
definitely.
we used to get quite a lot more in the past, but it's still a service we provide, and we'll do it for anybody who requests it.
No, it's great. I think, again, adding that to the list of items to get out to people, And I think, as far as putting that stuff out there for getting the information out there on social media, I think we got to make sure we also include Spanish too. So English, Spanish, I know you can do them both at the same time. So people get that information and not just in English. I want to give thanks to Joe and his crew, Parks and Rec, always, Arbor Day. That went off pretty good. So always do a good job, very well organized. And also shout out to Mid-Valley Disposal for the cleanup event we had on March 7th. Rick and his crew always do a fantastic job out there. And I don't know if this is more... So I was approached on this one. I don't know if maybe Neron or maybe Commander Melvin or somebody can comment on it. I know they're talking about Overland and Santa and what do you call it? Santa Ana. They say people run the stop that's before Santa Ana, Santa Ana before that on Overland. So just west of 165. And they're asking for speed bumps and stuff like that. They said they were turned down, and it just because it's a major, road for police and fire. And I told them that I believe that to be correct. I just wanted to verify that since they were asking me that stuff, but I know we can patrol that more, but I think we can't put speed bumps there, correct? That's a major access road, and that's why we don't do that in that particular road.
Right. Let me take a look at the application. I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. They were just asking me that question, so I just wanted to put that out there. And then, definitely last thing is Parkside Chats coming up here pretty soon. Now the weather is getting better, so you'll catch the mayor and I out there real soon to get with the district residents of District 3. And that's it for tonight. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you very much. Well, first of all, we have a full house. It's good to see a full council, and we have our city treasurer, Lucy Lawrence, over there, and city clerk, Lucy Melanie. Good to see everybody here. It's good to see a full council and staff. Just reminder, everybody, I think when Gary was interim city manager, I sent out the 250-year logo to everybody. If you want me to do it again. And then I think a week ago, I got a banner. They called me up and said there's something, parcel post that came in, and it's a banner for 250, but it has my name on it. But I guess because I signed up for that so we could get the logo and everything that came in. So if you need that resent to you, because we're supposed to put the 250 logo on all our correspondence this year. On April 14th, we're going to have a State of the City at the Community Center. I'd like to invite everybody to come down and listen to the State of the City. We're going to be talking about what has taken place this year, what's going on right now, and then what our plans are for this council's plan and staff for the future. I think it's very important to communicate and get this out. we only going to have, like Joe said, he only going to have 500 seats, so come early. But anyway, I'm looking forward to that, and I appreciate staff working on it. I think I wrote my speech already 10 times. I've changed it. But anyway, I appreciate the council's involvement. It's all of us. It's not one person. It's all of us up here together working on it to make this city better. I have MCAG tomorrow. I'll be going over to Merced. Meeting's at 3. I do want to consider change of ordinance or modifying Mary on 6057, which is brought up. It was brought to my attention just a week ago that, I don't know, 10 years ago or something, the council created an ordinance 6057 that says each council member is limited to one interaction with the public at a public facility. It's ordinance 6057, right? It's a reso? Yeah. Oh, reso, sorry. So, so I wanted to look at changing that because that sort of stifles my plans of Parkside chats, going around to everybody's districts. And I understand maybe the reason why it was done is if a council member wanted to demand staff there and rent buildings and, you know, it could cost a lot of money if you're going to have 5 or 6 of these things a year. But I think but it really goes against everything that I know we're communication with the public. And as you can see, you know, we have to go to them. They don't come to the city council meetings. Hopefully they watch them on TV or on YouTube. But I think we got to look at that and allow some leniency so we can go to each district and have our Parkside chats, different than what you're talking about. And so anyway, I want to look at that. Arbor Day was great. Shop local, I think it's very important. I'll say that for many. And then my daughter says that I talk too much, now that she's a local resident again, I talk too much about the past, about when I was mayor before, and she says now I have to talk about now and the future. So I'm going to try to work on that because she sort of controls me. So I think that's all I have. Our next meeting is April 1st at 6 p.m. in these chambers. I appreciate everybody that spoke during the public forum and for the agenda items. Appreciate staff. This meeting is adjourned.